Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Rock, formerly known as Rockingham, currently known as Rockingham Speedway as well, but most people do call it The Rock, as we are here live today on ABN1 to bring you flag-to-flag coverage of the HTL Cup Series round of Rockingham, and Kristina Ryan here today, bringing it alongside with Kevin Young, who is typically always in this booth. And Kevin, with 3 races to go before the chase cut off, we have qualifying and then a very grueling race ahead of us on one of the toughest short tracks in the South. What are we looking forward to today in what could be a pivotal moment for the make or breaks of many drivers in today's chase?
First of all, I'd like to give our condolences to Joe as well, because obviously he was hoping to be here, but obviously he's had a pet become sick in the family, so he's dealing with that right now, and we give our condolences to him. Obviously, he may pop up in the chat. Keep an eye on the Joe Cortez show if he is following along. But regardless, to answer your question, Kristina, it's a track we're going to see the high side be dominant, but if they run the high side and keep running it, there's a risk they may burn out their tires and be in a bad spot internally with the fuel range, and we'll go over that in due time with the fuel being in a concern. There could be drivers that maybe try to stretch a 1-stop, but with the tire wear and the fuel, they may be better off doing a 2-stop in that final stint. So we'll have to keep an eye on a lot of strategies, but keep an eye on that high side being the spot early on in late runs. But drivers will have to not stay there for too long. They want to make sure they make the run to the finish of the stage or even the flag count for the mostest.
Of course, and with it being a highline dominant for speed, that means for this next qualifying session, we will be seeing everybody virtually up against that safer barrier wall. And of course, it may be giving us hell in the south of America in real life, but the National Weather Service predicting a mostly cloudy 69 degrees here in virtual Rockingham, and that's a lot better than dealing with Debbie in the game. And a little bit of wind, but shouldn't be a huge factor here, especially with everybody running up against the wall. Not as much buffering from that wind, but it should be an exciting one to watch here, Kev.
Yeah, the only thing I really care for is Little Debbie's, not the Big Debbie that's currently going through the southeast, or the Big Deborah as well. But anyway, qualifying is officially started here. Obviously, Cody Pinnell is on a flyer right now. He will be the first of the drivers to take an attempt, followed by Martin Roberg behind him. So it'll be an interesting tidbit to see how this all shakes up. But those two will be the first two to take their qualifying runs here. And as Pinnell comes across the line here to set his flying lap, it's going to be a 24.184. Remember, short track rules is usually 2 laps, and it looks like it will only be 1 lap, though, for tonight's festivities. So Roberg going to be coming across the line secondly here. We'll see where he can jump up. 24.185 for his troubles. That will now put him P1.
Yeah, check it on Cody Pinnell. It does look like it is 1 lap. I think technically this track is not a short track, I believe is going to be the way, although it looks like Roberg's going for another lap. No, he is coming in as well, so it does look like, you're right, 1 lap. Typically it is a 2 laps for short tracks. I think this one, I guess, technically qualifies as not.
It's weird. Yeah,
it's one of those in-betweens.
It's technically a 1 mile, so, I mean, it's not... who knows? But maybe it may cause the session to go faster. It's probably for the best be 1 lap. Constantin, who's had some connection issues throughout the night, it looks like it may be day done for her. But next up, though, is a new face, a bit of a debutante here, Alistair Kirk. Obviously, I'm seeing multiple flags and identifications for him, but at the very least, though, he is now in that number 21, filling in, I believe, actually, it's not Alpha Denny's machine, filling in for someone else, as he will now start his flying lap. He will be flanked on by with Elias Flores in the number 99 for Ascent Racing. So we'll see as Kirk comes around, and this high side is top dominant here. So you're going to see most of these cars try to stay that middle high groove. Very rarely you'll see a car flip to the low side. And as we go on the session, these cars will pin that high wall and stay as close as you can, almost like it's Homestead. But as Kirk comes across the line, it's going to be a 23.899. That will put him provisional pole. We'll see if Flores can jump. So 4 different drivers have set pole time so far. 3. Now here comes the 4th, and he joined the fray. Coming across the line, 24.285. So Flores will be the slowest of the 4 drivers, but Kirk setting the time to beat after those 2 drivers.
Yeah, Kirk, not a stranger to HTL, but not a regular in the Cup Series. He is making a run tonight in that car, freshly painted 21 machine. Josh Arnold in a not so freshly painted Pizza Wings podcast machine going back on track. He's ran largely the same livery for most of the year. he's going to continue on now and try and challenge that pole sitter of Kirk right now. So we know that Kirk is fast when he does show up. He's here tonight, should put on a good show for his fans and the rest of the HTL group. He's currently a quarter second clear of anybody else that's set a lap time so far. So Arnold's got it all to do here if he's going to try and dethrone that number 12 car in his number 2.
Yep, it's going to have to be a blistering lap for that number 2. Obviously, Arnold's been the driver that's definitely been hoping to have a good season here right now, tending in the right direction, but is definitely going to need to keep that form going. Going to try to go low here, off the line, cut the dog leg, almost. As he comes across the line, going to be P2 for the number 2.
Solid.
That's going to be a 24.095. Solid indeed. As Lily Frazier in the 55 machine comes across the line, it's going to be a 24.276 for her. She will slot P5. Frazier being one of those drivers you could say has been a driver of many hats, as she has driven many different numbers in this series. But one driver in a consistent number is the 29 of Alfred Denny. He usually rocks a good wrench scheme with Kevin Harvick-inspired livery. He will hit the track right now, and it looks like he'll be flanked by, I want to say it's the 22 of Gary Donaldson, so we'll see what both drivers can do on their laps.
Yeah, Alfred Denny's been in the same car all year, but he has not been in the same livery. He's bringing all the memories back from the stint of Kevin Harvick at RCR. He's driven so many different schemes that we've come to love over the years if we've grown up watching Kevin Harvick, who obviously is retired, I think a year ago now from NASCAR, and he was running some laps at North Wilkesboro, though, not too far away from my own home in Charlotte, North Carolina. But Alfred Denny here on the other one of the Carolina Speedway is going to put a 24.091 down, which is not too bad at all. Going to put him on the podium, P3. And let's see what the double deuce of Gary Donaldson can do. Another driver who sports plenty of paint schemes throughout the year. A very good time of a 24.085. It's going to be able to put him in third now, jumping over Alfred Denny.
Yeah, worth noting the top 4 cars right now all have 2s in their names. So it pays right now to be a driver that has a 2 into the first digit or the second digit. And that looks like it will definitely help out the next car going to hit the lap. Not Zachary Apperson, he'll be the first of the 2, but the other one will be Dustin Hall in the 12. Dustin Hall obviously multiple wins this season. Multiple wins in his HTL career with 6. Zachary Apperson, that car has found victory lane so far this year, but he has not been the one piloting it. 3 rounds to go. He's still in the top 30. So he's one of those drivers, actually is currently the 30th driver. So if he can find his way to victory lane, it's going to be a race for him and Hall to try to get themselves into the playoffs. So right now, Apperson currently on a flyer, halfway through his lap right now, at least trending in the right direction. 12.19 for his run. Ooh. That will put him firmly in about the top 5-ish. Going low, though, that could cost him some time here as he comes across the line here. It's going to be a 24.269. Going to be kicking himself with that run as he left some time on the table. Dustin Hall, though, another driver trending in the right direction with his first lap, almost purple as he comes across the line. Going to go low down near the dog leg, coming across the line. 23.721 for him, and that would put him P1, but it looks like it won't count. Validation somewhere on this track, and that lap will not count. So would have been a pole run. At the moment, though, he will not be validated. We'll take a look here to see where exactly he may have hit the wall.
Right there.
Right there is where he hits it, and it takes a little hit. That isn't a validation. So Hall had a pole run. Definitely keep an eye on for the race, but he will be starting near the back for tonight's festivities.
Yeah, the other thing I noted there, Kev, you saw the sun poked its head out for just a little bit. Could have changed the track conditions that littlest bit for both Apperson and for Dustin Hall. Apperson trying to go for that cut down to the bottom really cost him a lot of time, but I'm not sure if that was the game plan because, like I said, with the sun coming out, it might have heated the track up, made it a little slicker than he was anticipating. But Matthew Boone on track now. The shades come back, so we got the sun out for one set of drivers, for better or for worse, and it looks like DJ Trout on track as well in the number 93 machine coming up behind Matthew Boone.
Yeah, DJ driver that's going to have next week circled on their calendar with it being Daytona Road Course, a driver that is very strong at the road courses. But first, Matthew Boone, another strong driver having good seasons so far. He will go P3.
Yeah, third and second for both of them. Trout finished his lap just a little bit beforehand. A new fresh coat of paint there for the Blink Designs Ford Mustang, but second and third. So the cloud's coming back immediately, putting up some results for both of those drivers on screen right now.
Yeah, keep an eye on the track temperatures right now. Obviously, right now, it's a temperature outside of 69 degrees Fahrenheit and a track temp of 76. And with the sun, will make the track more grippier and give it some warmth. However, there is that risk with it getting a little bit too warm, it could possibly hurt these drivers. Right now, already, still at 75. Withers now going to be one of the two drivers to do a lap here, along with the 94 of not Christopher Pendell. It will be Bobby Blowers, super sub Bobby Blowers, filling in that number 94 machine. But as you see on the hood camera of this 23, you really got to just hinge that wall, come low, and he's going to dime in the corner and then instantly shoot up, but not getting super high. But this worked for our pole sitter, Alistair Kirk. So maybe Withers has a little bit of a sneaker to the recipe. Coming across the line, 24.389. That is going to be the slowest of the 12 cars, so maybe that recipe went spoiled. Here's Bobby Blowers. Obviously usually seeing a Pepsi machine, cherry Pepsi machine, but now obviously rocking different colors. 23.908 for Blowers. That will put him P2. Basically a very close time there from upsetting Kirk, but Blowers will have to settle for the front row of the grid, at least provisionally.
Yeah, David Smeal Jr. going out next in the number 8 machine. We'll see what he can do in that Dunkin' Donuts Chevrolet, filling in for Callie Height, who no longer is able to participate in this series for the foreseeable future, going through a move and not having her rig around. So Smeal's gotten the call ever since then, is finally now seeming a bit more comfortable in that number 8 machine. Put up some solid results, but was looking for a little more after Talladega. Trying to get in a good one here. What I'm noticing, Kevin, is the drivers are starting to migrate more towards the bottom right now. We thought for sure we'd see everybody rim riding from the very drop of the flag here for qualifying, but we're seeing a lot of people try to hug that yellow line down on the bottom, and it's been producing some decent results.
I wonder if there's maybe that risk we saw with Dustin Hall. You don't want to hit that wall because it's an instant invalidation, unlike other tracks where you can get away with a light tap on your run. Here, no such luxuries. Smeal will come across the line, P6, and now Hunter Peach, the Peach Man, ditching the peach colors for the Ream scheme as he comes across the line, 23.895. That will be good enough for pole position. So new man at the top of the tower. It will be the 20 of Hunter Peach, taking pole away from Alistair Kirk. Then it's Blowers and Trout. So again, interesting tidbit of right now, 20-21, one number difference, and then 94-93, one number difference for the second row. So very odd situation of patterns here as we now see Jonathan Smeal, second fastest in practice. He will be flanked on the track with the 19 of Byron Jones.
Well, you know what happens when you put 2 and 2 together, you get 4. Now we got the 44 on track of Jonathan Smeal trying to get that machine. It looks like it's fit for the racetrack, Kevin. It looks like a livery you would tend to see in some not underground rather, but grassroots sort of racing, driving for Carmen Sienna's race team, and trying to put that machine up in the top and across the line. It's a 24.2, so not particularly mind-blowing for Smeal. It's only good enough for 15th as we shift over to the 19 now, though, of Byron Jones, who looked incredibly quick in practice. What can he accomplish? It's going to be quicker for sure, but not quick enough for pole position, but still enough to put the number 19 inside. No, it won't actually. It was going to be disallowed. So Byron Jones, we talked about, you could see the damage now on the right front, had a little bit of a mistake somewhere on his lap time, and that cost him dearly.
Yeah, that is going to be a lap invalidated for him, and we'll see if we can take a quick look back to see exactly what it was the cause. And you see
right there,
Dustin Hall hit that wall in 1 and 2, and that's the gut punch when you know your lap is officially invalidated, and it's definitely a kick in the teeth. Next 2 cars coming out are going to be the 25 of Blake Henderson, driving the Austin Theory wink scheme here. This is one of his favorite wrestlers. All kidding aside, it is actually an LA Knight scheme. And in turn, it's going to be the 17 of Zachary Meredith. So Blake Henderson, a driver we kind of said multiple times throughout the broadcast, throughout the weeks, has a long winless streak, and he knows it, and that's probably getting into him a little bit here. He doesn't have the highest expectations coming in today, doesn't think a top 3 is in the cards, but sometimes at the Rock, things can shake up quite nicely. Maybe he'll give a rock bottom to the field. Anyways, the 25 of Blake Henderson comes across the line. The Dirty Dom fan will come with a 24.006 P5 for the number 25. And now Zachary Meredith really cutting the dog like here, very aggressively to get as much time as he can. The former champion will take that P5 away. So Zachary Meredith will have P5, Henderson will have P6, but 2 good runs as the next 2 cars come out the track. It'll be Shad Swatsworth will be the next of the 2 cars with Josh Gaiman.
Yeah, at the risk of saying something stupid here, Kevin, I don't know anything about wrestling, WWE or like traditional, so I don't know. It just feels like a missed opportunity, though. We're at the Rock. Why not run a car with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on it? I feel like it's a missed opportunity. Maybe you can enlighten me on why that wasn't an option, but I feel like at least from an outsider looking in on the sport, big missed opportunity there by Henderson, but a good qualifying time nonetheless.
You know, I personally think if LA Knight didn't win the title at SummerSlam last night, he probably would run a rock scheme. But since, you know, LA Knight won his first title in professional WWE, I think he had to kind of honor his favorite wrestler getting a title in the promotion.
Understandable.
Logan Paul a dummy, yeah. So anyway,
we love that.
Swansford going to come across the line P9 for the Arrowhead Stallworth, maybe even the leader of Arrowhead, going to put himself in the top 10 provisionally. Josh Gamen's had a great run of form here the last couple weeks. He will drop in with a 24.118. Good enough for P13. Gaiman firmly in the top 16 of the playoffs along with Swansworth, but Gaiman's got to be careful not to bleed points here over the next 3 weeks. And that will lead us nicely to Mongold, not ditching the Dr. Peppers like last week, back to the Ascent Racing colors.
Oh, ditching the Dr. Pepper traditional scheme, but still running the same colors of the can, all 23 shades of that maroon on the back end of the number 91. It's amazing he didn't fight harder for the number 23 car when I think about it here, but still, I guess 91's just how many he's drank this season. Probably more than that, probably how many he drinks on the average weekend. But all kidding aside, Mongold's put up some really good results lately, Kevin. Almost touching that wall out of turn 2, but seeing like there's a lot of speed here, and he's running around the bottom, though. I find this a little interesting. He looked a bit quicker in 1 and 2. Maybe he spooked himself getting up close to the wall, but nevertheless, we'll see if he's got any pace. He cuts down like we saw Meredith do, and it's not going to be an overwhelming race time, so maybe that Dr. Pepper's run flat on the number 91 machine. Scooting over to Pacey Wygant, though, in the 00. He's been sporting a new paint scheme. This one has been the one he's been driving for a little while now. It's not quite as new, but it is still fast. 23.963, updating to a 9.70 now. That's going to be enough for 5th place.
Yeah, that was a Mongol. I think in his case, it was a situation of just trying to make sure that lap stayed valid, because we saw with Hall and we saw with Jones getting invalidations won, make sure that lap counted. As for Wygant, it was all gas there. He was going for pole, or he'd be glad to start in the back. Next up, Richard Odie, driver that right now is trying to get into the top 30. So if he can find the magical win at Daytona, the next 2 Daytonas, whether it be road course or super speedway, he could make that win count. But the privateer having a fine year so far, 31st in points, 1 point away from Apperson. So, hey, no chance in trying to drive his heart out here. Other car on the track will be the 50 machine of Lilac Sear. But Odie looking okay right now. We'll see what he does through 3 and 4, and he will also kind of run a middle-ish low groove that we saw Flores and a few other drivers run. So probably just being a safe lap here, putting down a safe banker lap. Coming across the line, it'll be a 24.231 for Odie. Good enough for P17. Lilac Sear for Stepping Stone. We'll try to put a blistering lap down for her as she comes across the line. It's going to be a 23.861 pole run for the number 50 Stepping Stone machine, just what the doctor ordered.
And I'll tell you what, I knew that was going to be a really good lap as soon as we cut to her, because you saw, I don't know if you saw it, Kevin, but the body language of that car was absolutely planted through 3 and 4. A brilliant lap for her, and that's going to boost her confidence. So Lilac Sear takes pole position provisionally as we get ready to send some more cars up. And we're getting further up the stack, Kevin. There's not a whole lot more to go before we see, have cycled through the entire qualifying order. Here's Josh Susi, though, one of the winningest drivers this season, one of the top contenders for the championship, and one of the top teams, the top team even, in the series at the moment for Lady Liberty Motorsports, the number 81 machine, as he is the reigning champion, the reigning Daytona 500, well, not anymore, but was the reigning Daytona 500 champion, and is now looking to put up a solid lap time. It's only enough for 7th, so a big stunner from Stepping Stone Motorsports and Lilac Sear. Can Peltier Sharp have anything to say about it? No. So right now, it's all number 50 on the top of the board, and that's a big surprise. Not that Sear is slow by any means, she's not, but really good qualifying time out of her.
Yeah, it was an all right lap by Sharp here. She's definitely got good one-lap pace, and, well, it's a bit of a stinker, but she's definitely someone that could at least find that pace during the race. Next up, Kevin Gibney will be the next 2 cars to flank out, and like you were saying, Kristina, we're running out of cars quick. By my calculations, we have 4 to 5, depending on if they let Constantinu run a lap. So we should see this done in about 2 rotations here. Gibney had a great race last week. That's why he is running further down the order here in his number 1 machine here, as he's going to take the bottom run, though. So interesting, going to abandon the top side through 1 and 2. We'll see what he elects to do through 3 and 4. Will he like to go low again? He will. So really just making sure this lap is stable and safe. Maybe foregoing a top 5 spot and just wants to get it on the board. As he comes across the line, it'll be good enough for a 24.025. So maybe I was dogging him a bit too much. It will be P11 for him. Selena Thompson will be the other car here. Back in the machine in that purple and yellow Menards machine with a NOS Energy decaling. As she comes across the line, 24.082. It's going to be good enough for 17 for Selena Thompson. That should give us 2 more cars on track. The 9 to Sassek's already fired off, so a bit early for him. And the 3 of Caitlin Height, last week's race winner, will be the last of the 2 to join the festivities on track.
Yeah, and Sassek coming through in the other Ascent car. I think they brought 3 total this weekend. Sometimes it's 4. We've already seen the number 99 and the 91 go. Sassek trying to be the team leader in more ways than one as he heads off into 3 and 4. Going to run that high line that we have not actually seen as much as I thought we would. Going to try and cut it back down to the middle, maybe get that late apex, which could be beneficial. Sassek across the line. Is it going to be enough to do anything about Lilac Zier? It is not. It is not good at all for Eli Sassek. Only 28th, and here comes Caitlin Height, last week's winner. She'd love to knock Lilac Zier off of the top spot. Can she get it done? It's going to be close, Kevin, but I don't know that it's enough. It is. She does. She just pips the 50 of Lilac Zier. So Katie Height and Lilac Zier should be the front row here in a very close bout to get the pole position.
It's the Ferrari scheme. I guess not even the Ferrari schemes, but the F1 schemes have definitely helped out Caitlin Height per se. She's run quite fast when docking either a Williams scheme or a Ferrari scheme. But that will be that for qualifying. Constantine will not be allowed to qualify, so we will be done with qualifying here in a record time. Caitlin Height, Zier, and Peach will be the top 3. Now we'll head on to warm up. 5 minutes await these drivers before they see 219 laps around the Rock.
Yeah, while we have time, it's worth talking about the situation for Bianca Constantinou. She may not be able to start this race due to connection issues. This is going to be a big race of attrition, Kevin, not just on the track, but off it as well. Obviously, we have the landfall of, is it a hurricane now or still a tropical storm? I'm not sure, but Debbie's made landfall. A lot of drivers in the South, in Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas that take part in this, the internet connectivity is not ideal. Drivers like Blake Henderson driving off internet hotspots today to try and make it to the event. But the Romanian is the main story right now. Is Constantinou has been struggling to find a stable connection all the way through practice. Has been a major hazard on the track because of it. A 250 ping currently as it has been, and she's disconnected from qualifying, not leaving of her own volition, and that's why she was not able to qualify. You can see her there blinking across the screen, Kevin. This could be critical because she needs to get into the top 30 in points if she wants to make the chase with her win. So far, she is a good ways off of that, and only 3 races to go, including tonight. This could be curtains for her season if she doesn't get it together, and that'll come back to her suspensions that she received and her points penalties from behavioral issues on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's a reasonable gap per se to make up. My count has it at, doing quick math here, 34 points. But right now, obviously, with her connection issues, her best bet, she'll probably have to forego stage points with Seth Wanzi not here tonight and Britton, I think, also not here tonight as well, leaving Odie and Apperson being her only 2 main rivals to get into the top 30. The main bet may just be, hey, look, connection's bad. She gets last place points billing by starting the race, or kind of just saying, you know what, just going to putt around the back and just ensure if more cars have damage, can steal a couple spots, because her main bread and butter is going to be the road course and for Daytona and the Super Speedway. That's going to be the cutoff race. So she has to kind of just weather the storm here and just make sure she brings it home in a decent spot, allow other people to hurt their connections here, and if she lags out, come back, but just let people go, don't fight anyone, and don't give the stewards a reason to penalize you for your connection. Just stay out of everyone's way, pin the wall, even come down pit lane if you need to. It's about survival and just making sure you make it to the finish line here and get as many points as you can and set yourself up for success the next 2 weeks. But anyway, 2 minutes to go here in qualifying now. Smeal, even though he didn't have the best qualifying run, he's still top of the boards. Maybe there's some speed with that number 44 car, as it's had some good drivers in it and has yet, though, really to found that instant success with a car piloting it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also worth noting, we've talked ad nauseum about be a Constantinu. You were just talking about our experience. Me and you, Kevin, would talk about, oh, let's hang at the back. Let's maximize points because we're already got our back up against the wall. I don't think I've ever seen her run 50%. So I'm going to be interested to see that, because trying to get a young driver like any of them to realize, that maybe the game is to sit back. This is going to be a race of attrition. There's the incident limit to keep in mind as well. It's a much shorter incident limit. This is a short track. People collect X's like it's free candy. And it's going to be really tough to keep your head in the game and not make any mistakes here. And it's going to be hard not to fight some people, because we know how much speed she tends to bring to these races. It's going to be a real test there. But like you said, yeah, a lot of opportunities here for these drivers with just a couple minutes until showtime.
Remember, no fast pairs in the series,
Correct.
At least at short track. So if drivers start making incidents, racking up heavy damage, she can easily get up, let's say, because there's at least 30 odd cars in this field. If she gets to a point where, again, 5, 6 cars crash out, she's already looking at least top 30, maybe top 25. So there's a reason to kind of just say, look, my connection isn't there. I know this. Just stay in the back. You can start from the pit lane if you need to. Go the laps down. You need to stay on the apron. It may go against sporting code and could get her ire stewards possibly if she's running too slow. She maybe asks us to leave because safety hazards and concerns on that possibly take someone out. But just maintain speed. Say, look, it's not my night. Just got to cut into the deficit, because making it or not making it could be the difference, and you do not want to have a what if saying, hey, at the Rock I just threw in the towel and then I won the next week and swept the stages and then was in a hole, too big of a hole to try to climb out of.
Well, you mentioned,
sorry, you got a point?
Yeah, just real quick, you mentioned it. Her biggest competitors to get in the top 30, half of them are not here. So even more to your point, it is the best interest for her to just do nothing today. Just sit at the back and let this come to her. Or hope that things stabilize, but from what I've seen so far, it doesn't look like that's a possibility, unfortunately. So I fully agree with you on that one, Kevin. If either you or me were in the race car, we'd be screaming at her right now to not make any further mistakes. But only time will tell, as you mentioned, only a handful of seconds to go, and there we go. We're about to get to the starting grid for tonight's race, Kev. But before we get to that, a quick look at the weather.
Yeah, I'll take a quick look at the weather here. Temperature of 69 degrees Fahrenheit, a humidity of 1, and the winds blowing from the west. About 4 miles now has gone down to 2, and it's even changed directions. So it's a very interesting situation here with the wind now back up to 4, but it's still a cloudy track. But I want to note this. Looked at the track temperature from my own monitor. It was about 75 during qualifying. It is shot up to 92 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to be a lot more grippier than it was during qualifying. So right now, as you see, we're at HTL Rock live on ABN1 here for the HTL Rockingham 300. Obviously, again, me, Kevin Young, Kristina Ryan joining me in the booth here. Again, Joe having the night off due to personal issues. But we'll take a look at the starting grid here and see how all these drivers line up as the rest of them hit the grid here. Caitlin Height, Lilac Sear will be in row number 1. Moving on to row number 2 will be Hunter Peach, and Alistair Kirk, the not so used to seeing driver, will be in row 2. Flowers and Trout will make up row number 3. Row 4 will be Pacey Wygent and Joshua Sosi, both drivers in found victory lane, and were final 4 drivers last year. Interesting road to keep an eye out for. Row 5, Zachary Meredith and Blake Henderson. Henderson looking to keep the success going like his idol LA Knight to try to bring home a W. Row 6 will be Matthew Boone and Kevin Gibney Jr. Gibney trying to get into the top 16. Lily Peltier-Sharp and Josh Arnold will make up row number 7. Chad Swadsworth and David Smeal Jr. in row 8. Swadsworth best of the rest right now without a win. He'll be in row 8. Gary Donaldson and Selena Thompson will make up row number 9. Row 10 will be Alfred Denny and Josh Gaiman. Row 11 is going to be Martin Roberg and Cody Pinnell. Pinnell dealing with some connection issues. We'll see if he can get back in. Row 12 will be Richard Odie and Zachary Apperson. 2 drivers need some good success here as they're barely inside the top 30. Lily Frazier and Elias Flores will be in row number 13. Row 14 will be made up of Jonathan Smeal and Austin Mongold. Row 15 will be Eli Sassick and Tommy Withers, giving the drivers that invalidated their laps. Now, obviously, Kristina Ryan not in the show, but Dustin Hall is. First of the drivers that invalidated, he'll be in row number 16. Dean Clavitt and Constantinu. Constantinu did not qualify. Clavitt forego his qualifying. He'll be in row 17. Brian Jones and DeMonte Dodson in row 18. Driver that invalidated, DeMonte Dodson, did not take a time down. And that will be one more driver. Last week's race winner, Tommy Reynolds. He'll make up the last spot in row number 19.
Wow, how about that? I didn't even race and I still beat some drivers on the time charts. I guess I am that good. No, I'm just kidding. A little bit of a graphical error there, but we keep talking about Bia Constantinu. Good reason. I guess she heard us sing the praises because she has requested an EOL for her safety and everybody else's. I think that's the smartest move she could have made. As we get ready to go green here, very quickly, going to talk about the pit window. 3 stages in this race, Kevin, and they are easy to remember. Stage breaks come at lap 50 and lap 100. These drivers should be able to make it to those stages without a pit stop. However, only 6 sets of tires available. They are going to be very valuable with the way the tire fall off has been. We're going to see a lot of drivers trying to conserve tires and conserve their heads as this race goes on. Pace car about to pull off. We're about to see the green flag, and the sun is starting to try to peek through once again. And for the 3rd time now at the Rockingham Speedway, HTL Cup Series is about to bring the action with 36 drivers, 3 races before the chase for the championship begins. It's Zier alongside Height. The green flag is out, and we are racing at Rockingham.
As they get ready to complete lap number 1, Caitlin Height will keep her success going here. She will lead the first lap. Lilac Zier, though, in hot pursuit, and will try to attack on the high side. You have to make note, we talked about it in the pre-race show. We'll talk about it now throughout the race. You can only really run that high side for about 20 laps. In turn, you may end up ruining the rest of your stage if you stay up there too long. It's a risk-reward situation, and you gotta be careful to make sure you stay up high as quick as you can and make sure you navigate low. So only use that high line as a last resort. Top 4 currently holding out the spots right now with Height, Zier, Kirk, and Trout all occupying those top 4 spots. 2 cars have pulled it behind the wall. Actually, one, Cody Pinnell did not take the start along with Tommy Reynolds, and Constantine has had another disconnection here, so she didn't even take the flag. But at the very least, though, taking the start, she will at least gain 2 spots over Pinnell and Reynolds. So at least there's that. She can hang her hat on, and if she can get back in here, again, mass chaos, 219 laps, she can still pick off a couple more.
Yeah, I think she might be sitting in the garage waiting to see if anything happens in this first stage, because then she just might go out and run the pity party to get those points. This is kind of like what we used to see back in the old days when we didn't have this fancy chase and win and you're in, points mattered every weekend. You'd see drivers do exactly this. They'd sit in the garage, try and work on the car, see a big wreck happen and go, oh, that's like 13 spots. I got to get out there and get those points. And that's been the make or break for more than one occasion for drivers. It's going to be a bit of a fight, and you're asking, might be wondering, why are we talking so much about her? Why do we care so much about where she is at right now? Well, this is the playoff cutoff line, but this is critical for these drivers as well, because if Bia gets inside the top 30, she's going to knock all of these drivers down one, and you have to be in the top 30. She has a win, but if she doesn't, which at this rate she won't with this current position, then it's Blowers, Breo, Boone, Hall, Mongold, all fighting over who makes it into the chase on points. So her destiny affects about 10 other drivers at this point. So it's going to be very interesting to see that unfold over the next couple of weeks. And you know me, Kevin, I hate talking about the chase, but with 3 races to go, it's hard to ignore anymore.
I think I'm the opposite. I love bringing up the points in the playoffs every chance I can get. It's always quite a fun little talking point to bring up. And you'll probably at least hear me say it a couple more times before the 3 weeks there, much to probably yours and maybe Joe's chagrin. But anyway, lap 8 officially in the books. That 3 machine still dominating the way here. She's pulled a little bit of a healthy gap over now the 21 machine. So obviously Zier's had a little bit of a mistake there. She's now fallen down to P6. So she's dealing with
you wonder
issues here.
Yeah, you wonder if it's a mistake though, or if she's trying to save her tires, because we talked about that. You mentioned that at the very start. And we've talked to Blake Henderson about how quickly the tires wear off. You mentioned if you run up on the top for 20 laps, you are screwed for the rest of the stage, like what we see this 20 car doing right now. We know how Lilac Zier tries to run these races. She often runs them backwards, and that's why she's so good at strategy in an open wheeler, in a stock car. It doesn't really matter. Zier is really good at planning these races out and outsmarting drivers that might be faster than her. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the stage we see her pull her way back up into the top 3. Right now, I think she might be saving her stuff, but somebody who's not Hunter Peach, he has just gotten around the 21 now and is trying to set his sights on Caitlin Height.
Hunter Peach already has that victory already, so he can do whatever he wants here. He knows I'm in the playoffs regardless, and I'm comfortably in the top 30, well by at least 100 points. So no real reason to point race here. Just go out there and try to get a second checkered flag to get those extra juicy, boosty stage points in order to help you out in the playoffs in a couple weeks' time. Currently sitting in second, though, but now he's on the hard work again. Maybe he'll start staying a little bit low here, but it's risk reward because now you said, all right, I'm going to go high. But then the drivers behind are like, all right, he shaved about maybe 6-7 laps of his tires right there. He's got to go low, cool him off. Now that leaves you vulnerable to attack and leave you possibly under siege if you're not careful. So top 10 all holding spot, but right now I'm seeing a bit of a race here between Boone and Zira. Zira is still falling back, and she is now trying to navigate to the high side to negate that loss. You don't see Blake Henderson and Pelletier sharply shot, and top 10 get stage points, so Zira, even though, again, she's comfortably in the playoffs right now, I think she's well over 100 clear. She's got to be careful not to lead too many points here or put herself in a spot where, like you would say, falling back with the nuts, falling back with the squirrels, you usually find a nut.
Yeah, it is interesting. When she was falling back to the top 5 or so, I was thinking maybe that was just strategy call. It's still possible that it is, but you definitely don't want to give up this much track position this early on. I mean, she started on the front row, and look at where Katie Height is already. She's lost about 3 seconds in just 13 laps. That might be pretty extreme, but if someone is going to try an extreme strategy, it would be her and probably William Britton. So I wonder if that's going to be the case. We'll see if she comes back towards the end of the stage, if she's just in super save mode. But I don't know. It's looking a bit more excessive than just strategy to me at this current moment, but only time will tell, Kevin.
Yeah, the spirit of William Britton flows through a lot of drivers with alternate strategies, and it may have possessed Lilacs here tonight. Back up a little bit further up here, you can see the Pizza and Wings Zach Meredith machine, and Bobby Flowers, he'll drive some. Anyone who gives him a contract, he will fill in no matter what team it is. Hey, we don't have a driver here, call Bobby Flowers. He'll get you a top 5 of your money back, as he is currently running that middle high groove side by side with Pacey Wygett just ahead the road there. You can see DJ Trout running a very bright scheme that usually doesn't run. But right now you can see Flowers clears Wygett, so put that 94 up a spot now side by side with DJ Trout, as it's a big race here for the top 5.
Yeah, Trout had a terrible turn 1 and 2, and I think they're running the similar paint schemes they are. They're both running the Blink Designs paint schemes, so they both have a fresh coat of paint on. But yeah, some blinking issues we talked about with Blowers here. We've talked about how perhaps the weather in real life playing a factor.
Cut off battle for the lead. Our leader just got past there for the lead there. Hunter Peach tried to go high, switched it up with a low spot, and now that 20 machine has taken the lead, so he is a man on a mission as he is taking it back, but I don't think that 3 is going to be all too kind that she just lost her lead.
Yeah, interesting to see. We know that the 20's been pushing hard early on in the stint. We can see that Kirk is pushing about the same as what Height has, but Peach started 5th up to 1st. I think he wants that clean air for now. You see Height giving up another position to Alistair Kirk. You're going to try and fight it back out on the outside, though. That's what Peach wants to see, is both drivers side by side behind him. But look at the gap that Peach has already extended. I gotta believe he's just trying to get as big of a gap as he can and hope that the tire fall off isn't terrible. Give it about 5 laps time, because we heard the number was about 20 from Blake Henderson about when that tire fall off begins. So this is about when Peach would start feeling the pain. So we'll see if that continues or not here. But for the current moment, it looks like Height's going to hang on over Kirk.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. He's the test dummy. He's the rat in the cage here that all drivers kind of base their elements off. We know the 3 of Caitlin Height loves saving her stuff, though, so she may be playing a bit of possum here, just really letting it kind of hold out here and make sure she comfortably gets it. Even though we know stage ends at 50, fuel concerns aren't there, it does help to get that little extra fuel just so you can get that little short of a pit stop when we see it play out.
Oh, tell me about it.
Continue the battle here. Meredith battling with Trout. This is 7th, 8th on track, and then you can see Boone got himself nicely into the top 10. Another driver that's currently holding on to trying to point his way in. 8 back on the cut line, and with Braille not here tonight and Blowers ahead of him by only a couple spots, he needs to make sure he keeps his foot on the gas here to get those crucial stage points. Running that middle high group of Pelletier Sharp, another driver that needs a good run. She's not going to allow an enemy to get many points in front of her that they can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Bunch of battles here in the back half of the 10s, early teens. And side by side, about 2 or 3 rows at the moment, all fighting over those valuable stage points and the track position, which is going to become more of a premium as the tires start to wear off. So we're we're going to see a lot of moving and shaking because of that tire wear, which could be a good thing, but a lot of drivers complaining about how hard it has been to pass lately, so we'll see if it's going to become an issue as the tires continue to wear away. Right now you can see, oh, look at Trout. He seems to really be struggling with the front end balance of that car. That's not the first time we've seen him lose a lot of time in the corner, and he drove all the way up the track into the two Mustangs on his outside. It's a gaggle of Fords here fighting over the scraps of the points.
Yeah, and this is another thing we were kind of talking about as well. We heard from Blake Henderson, our inside scoop here. Drivers have to be a bit wary about shifting gears as well, because there could be some slight advantages by saving a little bit of fuel if you can do it, but you're also going to burn off the right rear and the right front if you shift. So different drivers obviously have different styles and how they want to drive. Some benefit with this now 5-gear machine in the new next-gen machineries. Others do not. They stay in the fifth gear and run it around. So different drivers have different strategies, and for some, that could burn up their tires even more. And we're going to see now the have and have-nots of who can save their stuff and get comfortably to the finish. As you can see Henderson trying to make a move on Trout here just outside the top 10, as this is the battle for 13th on track.
Yeah, Trout looks like he's used up all his stuff in the first stanza of this race, of the stage at least. He's going to be bailed out in about 25 laps time, but it's a matter of how far he's going to sink. You also see way up the road, Hunter Peach still running that high side, Height and Kirk still running the bottom. His gap has not extended too much more from where it was when we were first looking at them and he first took that lead away, so I'm wondering if his tires are about to stall out. That's about when we thought they would. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but right now the battle is just really right around the tail end of these stage points, and it's getting more and more critical with only 3 races to go to get as many stage points as you can. For those that don't know, these stages, the top 10 are awarded bonus points in the championship, and then after 3 more races, the top 16 are taken into the championship fight. Everybody else is left to scrap for 17th on down. So kind of a knockout style if you've never been a part of this sort of format before. So it's getting very dicey because a lot of the drivers we see here, Kevin, are drivers that are fighting to stay in the championship.
Yeah, fighting, and for some, they will know after tonight, stage points will not be a thing they can really count on anymore. They have to go out and win a road course. They'll have to win the Super Speedway. And that's kind of the excitement of Daytona, at least to a degree, is for a lot of drivers, it's their last chance. It's their last hurrah. You've had a season of multiple bang and battle fights about over 12, 14 weeks, and eventually you come to this point where you either have to go or you have to push to the last brink, and it's all or nothing, like putting red at the roulette table, as Joe would definitely do.
Yeah.
Battle for second, holding on here is the Kirk machine of the 21, has gotten around Kate Height as well, so the 3 machine falling back a little bit here. She's now down to the 3rd, but look at that gap Hunter Peach has put on the 21 and the 3 machines now. 2 seconds since the last time we checked it.
Yeah, them going side by side there. Probably let Peach extend the gap a little more again here. These two can't really get away from each other, and they're still in a pretty good spot. Obviously, Height doesn't have to worry too much about stages either because she already has a multitude of wins. Everything she gets here for stage wins whatsoever is just going to further help her in the championship. Kirk not running full time, and Hunter Peach pretty well safe. I think he may have won one this year early on as well, so he's not in such a sweaty situation either, but I'm surprised his tires haven't fallen off quicker. He's made that outside line work very quickly, and he's done a great job managing those Goodyear Eagles thus far. There's still 20 to go on the stage, but this is exactly what he wants to see, them fighting behind him for position number 2.
It's interesting because you look at the top 6. Out of those drivers, you have 4 of those drivers already having wins this year, so they don't have to really care, which are Peach, Height, Sosi, and Wygant. You got Kirk, who's just a part-time entry. He's not here for anything other than the checker flag. And then you got Bobby Blowers, who we went on the point board. He's only 4 points back. He almost won that chaos race at Pocono, but had a mistake on the white flag lap that took him out of contention, allowing Sosi to take the win at Pocono. So Blowers, even though being a super sub, driving multiple cars, and will probably continue to drive multiple cars in the playoffs, he's putting up a good show here and kind of flexing a muscle, saying, hey, if I make the playoffs, I will be a threat. But as we watch right now, Sosi battling Pacey Wygant side by side. They had their battles at Fontana. They're having their battles now. Wygant will take the spot. Sosi will go down to 6th. But Sosi in that top 10, one of the bigger movers here, up 2 spots. But Pelletier Sharp is up the most, up 5, currently sitting inside the top 10.
Yeah, interesting to see. And another thing that I've been a little interested at, the fact that it's been a bit smoother of a start to this race, of course, for what we saw not only just last year, but what we were probably expecting coming into this event. So far, so good. 34 laps of green flag racing to open this first stanza of this 219 lap race. And these laps, Kevin, they click off really, really quickly the longer you stay green, more so than probably any other track with how fast of a racetrack this is. It runs like a short track, and we click these miles off very fast indeed.
Yeah, we'll be quick enough out here to have some dinner if they keep this pace up. But we'll have to hope we didn't wish on a monkey's paw there and open internal curse. Lap 35, though. Peach, Kirk, Height, Flowers, Wychick, the top 5. As the top 10 have pretty much settled into a rhythm here, and you can see separation. But now, Hunter Peach has caught lap traffic. This could be a bit of a factor here. It's going to be Flores, and then the 44 with Smeal, and the 22 with Donaldson. And there's no indication they will have to give right away here. Obviously, it's the courteous thing to do, but they're in their own battles, and in turn, fighting for the lucky dog as the 99 hits the wall there. That's going to check up the 20, at least the 10th or 2, as now Peach is going to have to change the lineup just a bit to navigate around both the 99 and the 44. So 2 cars disposed of, but still a lot of machinery ahead the road, including the 9 of Eli Sasek, which is a driver you don't usually see back down here all that often. So it's going to be worth keeping an eye on Peach, how he navigates through this traffic, because if he gets held up or if a car runs his line and he's not willing to navigate a different part of the track, it could leave him vulnerable for Kirk to catch up and make a move, as now Kirk has gained over a second on Height. So Kirk could catch if Peach gets held up.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure to see Eli Sasek. He is having a nightmare of a race so far. You can see how much faster Peach is than the very tail end of the field. The pace difference is very extreme. The tire fall off even more so, up to 3 seconds of tire fall off. So those tires are premium. You see Sasek clip the wall. Byron Jones have to take avoiding action. But so far, Peach is making very, very quick work of this field. We got a battle for P6 right now between the 71 and the 81, Susie and Peltier Sharp, and Peltier Sharp leading all over Joshua Susie into turn 3 and 4. I'm not sure he's going to appreciate that one too much. He will hold on to the position for now, though.
Yeah, Sharp's got to be careful. You do not want to make enemies, especially in crucial times like this.
Especially the former live admin and reigning champion. That's probably the last person you want to start rubbing fenders with, is that number 81. Don't let that Hello Kitty scheme convince you otherwise. He is a mean driver and knows how to get it done.
Yeah, Kitty got claws.
Yeah.
Kitty got claws indeed. So anyway, you can see Sosi holding charge, though. Sharp going to keep the 7th position. Boone, though, on the prowl here as well. Trying to maybe get a run on that 71 here. But I keep talking about Hunter Peach. I keep bringing this up. He's bucking the trends here, really changing his lines. He doesn't seem to be stopped at the moment. So Peach really just putting the hammer down here and just flexing his muscle here and proving the skeptics a bit wrong. Back further in the traffic, you can see the 21 machine at Kirk now getting around both, trying to get around both Ascent racing machines here. They're both side by side battling for position, which is something you do not want to see. And in turn, with these cars fighting position, the lucky dog battle rages on. Right now, Donaldson has that lucky dog, but as that 20 machine works its way through the field and puts more cars down, that battle and that line change and make it so the cars have to try to fight even harder to get in a spot where they can get a good wave around or the lucky dog.
Yeah, it's kind of insane what Hunter Peach is accomplishing right now. He is on a league of his own. He's opened up 4 seconds now and growing to Alistair Kirk and Caitlin Height. I mean, the names that you're pulling out here on these positions, I mean, we've got Josh Sosi, you've got, like we said, Kirk, who's one of the most accomplished drivers at HTL, as well as Height, just absolutely taking them to school right now. It looks like, it looks like when you're running a late night race on iRacing and you get lumped into that solo split. You know what I'm talking about, Kevin? You get in that, you're 2,000 I rating and you get plopped in with a bunch of 900s and just start spanking the field. It's amazing that he's not lost any grip, and with only 7 laps to go, he's opened up a half second on Alistair Kirk on that lap alone. So Hunter Peach has brought something to the table that no one else has right now, and it looks like it's going to be his race to lose, at least for stage number 1.
And he's the only driver to break into the 23 and 6 laps with a 23.99. Battle for third, though, as Blowers has gotten around the 3 of Caitlin Height, so she's falling back here. And this is a bit concerning, as you can also see Wygen there in tow. So the 3 seems fast, but it looks like she may only have a good short run car, unless she's playing a bit of possum, maybe saying, hey, I don't need the stage points. I lost a third. Let me just see what this car can do on a long run. As Blowers clips the wall there just a bit.
3 wide.
Move around 3 wide, like you said, Kristina, right now. It's swapped for Tier and Henderson all fighting
he gets
the left
turned
car on the high side, and Henderson will hit the wall just a tiny bit. That should buff out, though, and he'll keep it pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, we'll have to see how bad that right front tire is wounded. There is another Ascent car there, the 97 that did not qualify, so it's just an Ascent Hurricane there. Speaking of Hurricanes, it just keeps getting worse for Blake Henderson. He's got a lot of right front damage now. It doesn't seem to be terminal, at least, but fighting now with Lilac Zero. I'll tell you what, Kevin, we had Zero and Height start giving up a lot of spots early on, perhaps to save the tires. They have not done a very good job of making that back up. It seems like track position is far more important right now than trying to save the tires. Peach in another zip code right now ahead of Alistair Kirk, but Height continues to fall back now, almost going to fall out of the top 10 altogether, and Zero showing no inroads of getting back into the top 10 to score points. So our two front row sitters absolutely getting mugged at the start.
This is shocking for Zier and Height, as they're usually good drivers to run in the top 10. It's definitely a odd situation. I'll have to talk to the crew chiefs, try to figure out what they can do to try to make adjustments. You can see right there those Sharp and Sosi going side by side. Sharp almost got in the corner panel of the 81. Again, do not want to poke the kitty there, or else he'll eat the claws. But right now, Sosi's still keeping his nerve, showing the demeanor of a champion, and not letting the pressure really crack him here as he holds on the top 5. So ride on nicely with his bumper camera. You can see the pure chaos behind him. His car is just fight for position and try to get every last point they can get.
Oh, wow.
Peach is about to cross the line in about half a lap's time to start the final lap of the stage.
Yeah, as we just saw there, the 71 of Pelletier. Sharp just about ran over that rear diffuser of Josh Susi. This is a ticking time bomb with these two, and I think everybody else is seeing that because nobody's really trying to make moves to overtake. And as you mentioned, Peach is about to cross the line, but it's till the top 10 crosses the line. In theory, before that caution flag should wave, Peach will pretty handily win stage number 1. But I'm not sure if the caution will come out immediately or not. We may still get to see the rest of that battle unfold here.
I've seen it. Usually they call it once the driver crosses the line. We'll see as we see Peach come across the line. We'll see if it's called or if they'll race it back. We are still green, so we're going to see more cars come here. So it is game on for the rest of the spots. And it's going to be Kirk, Blowers, and you can see that mass chaos come across the line. Now will officially be called Meredith, be the last driver to make the top 10. And Sasek, I just heard on the radio, basically saying, thank God that stage ended, as it was just pure pain for him and some other drivers. So
that whole team.
Yeah, they really missed the mark here coming into tonight. But they're an eventful team. They're an inspirational team. They'll find the form here in the second stage to try to get it back going. But Hunter Peach, your stage 1 winner, and will run over the top 10 in the stage here. Peach will take it 2.9 clear of Alistair Kirk. Blowers will be in 3rd, Pacey Wygent 4th, Joshua Sosi 5th, Pelletier Sharp 6th, Caitlin Height 7th, Josh Arnold 8th, Matthew Boone 9th, and Zachary Merriff will round out the top 10 here for stage number 1.
And with that, pit lane should be open any minute now, and we'll see everybody come down for a fresh set of boots and a full tank of Sunoco Racing fuel, which should set us up nicely for stage number 2. You know, there's a Blink Race Designs car right up there in that mix of the field, but with Bobby Blowers, but that stage went by in a blink of an eye. And look at the 99, all the ASET cars, I guess trying to go for the wave around here. I'm not sure how well that's going to work out, but yeah, it's pretty much a no-brainer. I would think everybody's going to come down pit lane and get some fresh fuel and tires.
The only car that was an ASET race machine that didn't go a lap down, I believe, was the 91 of Mongold, and I believe the 97 of Roberg filling in that ASET race machine. So even then, Roberg was inside the middle of the pack, about 15th to 20th. So really, poor night so far, ASET Racing. Seeing the race off pit lane, quick stop there by the 12th Hall here as the rest of the cars file out. Some drivers maybe trying different strategies, at least a little bit, even though they will need a full tank of fuel to make it to the end of stage. And we see Donaldson winning the race off pit lane here as he missed his, but actually stayed out. So he will take the lead, at least provisionally. Then it will be Peach, Kirk, Wygent, Height, Sharp, your top 5. So everyone taking 4 tires and fuel. No one trying anything different because tires are a premium around here, along with a full tank of fuel. Yeah,
without a doubt. I feel like it is a no-brainer to... This isn't really a situation where you'd gamble. You've ran 50 laps. We've done a quarter, basically, distance of this race. There's no point in trying to stay out on old tires and be a hero, especially early on, because all the points for the stage have already been awarded. But what's interesting to me is that 25 car does not seem to have fixed too much of that damage. So I wonder if it's just not affecting him as much as maybe it looked like, because that was a heck of a wallop that the 25 took when he got hooked by Sasek down the backstretch.
And we'll have to see again if any damage on that 25. Again, do not have a fast pair, so he will just have to try to buff it out and hope it runs as smooth as he can. Make that car just as competitive. Obviously, Henderson right now, looking at him in the point standings as well, he is currently sitting firmly 7th, 51 points above the cut line. So he can bleed some points, but you don't want to make that a habit if you can make it. Here's the top 6, speaking of, as they came into the night's festivities. Obviously, Sosi leading the way well over a comfortable distance ahead of Caitlin Height. Pacey Weidgen 3rd, Swathworth 4th, Zier 5th, and Eli Sasek 6th. Who's really not living up to that points billing right now where he currently runs. But interesting to note, only in that top 6, only 3 of them have won so far this season. The other 3 have not yet found victory lane. So it shows that even though some of these drivers have found victory this year, it's indicative that it's not always be-all, end-all for overall speed week to week. Also, here are the previous winners. As you can see on the screen, obviously they took Season 3 off here from the Rock, and Joshua Sosley, the only driver in this field tonight that has found victory lane at the Rock.
See if he can continue his title at this track, or if we'll add another name to that list tonight. Still 160 odd laps to go before we find out the answer to that question. Thanks for being here with us, Kristina Ryan, alongside Kevin Young, filling in for Joe Cortez. Sending all our love to you, buddy. Hope to see you back in the booth next week. But they're double file, Kevin. We're about to get ready to start off stage number 2. It was a caution-free stage 1. We'll see if it's more of the same. In just a few moments' time, the safety car will take the hard left turn down, and it's going to be Hunter Peach, stage 1 winner, alongside Alistair Kirk, one of the most feared and fierce competitors at HTL, making a one-off tonight. Into the Geico restart zone they'll come. And we're back underway. Green flag back out, and Alistair Kirk spins the tires massively there. Does a great job to hang on to it, but is going to lose a heap of positions.
Thought he was about to get hooked right there. I was
Me
on
too.
bated breath as he was wading around there like a car on ice. Also, Flowers just hit the wall a ton as well, so a lot of cars on that high side really feeling a bit of pain there. And I can hear at least some drivers on the radio kind of complaining that that 21 spun the tires has really checked up a lot of drivers here and put them back within the weeds. But right now, Hunter Peach will lead, take off where he was at stage 1 and lead the first lap of the stage. Company distance ahead of Pacey Weidgen right now, but Weidgen, now with some clean air and not there in the traffic, we'll see if he can charge forward. Now Kirk, though, not going to allow that adversity to hold him back, trying to get up to the field as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. He did a great job to get himself up into the 2nd position in stage number 1. Had a great fight with Caitlin Height to get there, but now he's going to have to use up a lot of those Goodyear Eagles to get back up into that spot. He lost a lot of time off of the gate there. He's very lucky, though, he didn't get hooked, because I was like you, Kevin. I thought for sure we were about to see a 10-car pileup coming to the green flag. He's done a brilliant job to hang on to that stock car and get it back underway. And like you said, Pacey Weidgen not letting this 20 car get out of his sight quite yet. Weidgen is someone we have not seen up at the very front yet today. Had a great little bit of strategy in the pits, and we'll see what he can do when things are all even Stevens now.
Worth noting, all the drivers that set the personal best, he's in the top 5 on personal best lap time. So if anyone can keep up with him, I would at least put a good chance Pacey Weidgen could, but still, no driver has even gotten close to breaking that 23.99 except for that 20 car right now, including, we've talked about the sun throughout this broadcast, and you can see the sun, it was peeking through, trying to get through, and it's now back to a heavily overcast day. You could call it a British summer if you want, but there's that risk of no rain, even though Iris has rain. As you can see right there, the 3 hits the wall just a bit. No,
it was Weidgen that got loose. I think Katie may have hit the wall, but Weidgen got extremely loose and lost a lot of ground there. He did a good job to catch that car, but yeah, it seems like all the drivers struggling on that cold set of Goodyear Eagles, but Alistair Kirk refinding his footing. He's going to go after Pelletier Sharp in the 71, try to get around her and put himself back into position here. But like you said, yeah, Weidgen in the top 5 as far as the fastest cars go, but he had some work to do to get there. Let's see if he can recover from that little slide and get his head down and get back after it.
Yeah, got to keep your head down, keep it on the grindstone if you want to be fast. Back to the 21. We got spun the tires, probably giving a little bit of the effects of this. Right now, side by side with the 71 is Sharp. And to kind of go back to your point there, Kristina, with cold tires maybe being a factor, it could be something these drivers make note of late in the race. If we get like a 20-25 run, it could be prime opportunity for a driver to say, hey, I'll just take right side tires and just try to make it work and still have some slightly fresh tires on the left side. So we may, if we get a late caution, maybe drivers roll the dice and try 2 tires or even no tires to try to get that extra warm, and in turn, hope that the drivers can't get their tires warmed up and catch back up. Right now, the 3 is hounding the back of the 00, so height really showing maybe that first stage was a bit of a fluke, and she is beating down the door of Pacey YJ.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for her and for Lilac Zier to, and Eli Sasek, as we were hearing vocally on the radio in our ears, not on the broadcast, but yeah, this is a great opportunity for all of them to try and re-rack and try again, because clearly they missed something on that first stage. They get a new fresh set, everybody's back evens. This is what we were talking about. This is why it's interesting to see what Wojcik can do, because he didn't have to burn up all of his tires on this stint getting to the front. Now everybody's all equals. But right now, Height really putting the pressure on. I wonder how long that will last, because we know how quick Height was at the start of the first stage. But then we saw what ended up happening with the pace differential. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. But right now, everybody's pretty tightly packed at the moment.
We had a radio on during this broadcast. We'd have to at least have a swear jar going on for all the frustrations that would come out. Some drivers would definitely be regulars of that jar. But top 4 all under a blanket right now. Field not getting as spaced out as we saw through stage number 1, where there are big pockets of cars just trying to hang on here. Speaking of cars trying to hang on, we currently at the moment have 29 cars on the lead lap. Elias Flores, first car, 1 down, along with Smeal.
Caution, they're wrecking on the back.
First caution, that's Josh Arnold. He is stopped stationary on the back right now. Other cars there, Meredith having to go low there, trying to avoid it. Right now, it looks like it may have only been 1 car. With his positioning on the track, it's safe to assume he got some help from someone, or someone's got some heavy damage that we have not seen yet.
Well, let's see if we can take a look at it here. It's going to be out of turn 2. Was fighting with Alyssa Pelletier, Sharp, and Matthew Boone, and I wonder if he did get help, Kevin. He did, absolutely. Oh my goodness, Matthew Boone sandwiched him into the back straightaway wall, which has a slope, mind you. And we saw Boone sliding as well. He got that car back under control, but a massive accident to send up on his side the number 2 of Josh Arnold. Not uncommon to see that on this track of all of them, but goodness gracious, big wreck there. Great avoidance by Dustin Hall to get out of the way. And that was not Boone getting sideways. That was actually Zachary Meredith finding himself spinning in sympathy, but he gets it under control. I wonder if we can go on board here with that 12 of Dustin Hall, who did a brilliant job getting out of the way. Hold on tight for this one, Kevin.
Just getting on that curb right there. I think Josh Arnold's seen a little bit too much Kirby fully loaded, trying to wall ride that corner there. And that's going to be some big damage on the 2. Boone's also going to have some heavy damage on his right side, but good avoidance by Dustin Hall, though, avoiding the incident. Now, we're right on board with the Pizza and Wings 17, riding the Auburn Tigers helmet here. As you can see right now, just going to get kind of shoved into the side, and then you can see him get sideways, and that is a scary feeling when you don't know where your wheels are, you don't know where you are, and you don't know if you're going to get over. And in turn, right now, parked on the backstretch, cars going about 180, 170, and you just got to hope none of them go dead straight right into your door there. But luckily, everyone avoids comfortably, and we keep it only 2 cars on incident right now. First caution of the night. This will allow cars I was reading off getting their laps back here. Believe that will go to Elias Flores. He will be the lucky dog, giving us 30 cars at the moment on the lead lap. But considering the damage of Byron Jones, some other cars here, Josh Arnold and Bobby Blowers hitting a wall a bit earlier, we'll see how many drivers can make the 10 count. And right now, it seems like all of them are leaving the pit lane under their own power, so we'll still have 30 cars on the lead lap.
What I'm going to be interested to see here is we saw cars on fresh tires, Kevin, spinning the wheels on the restart. I wonder if it's going to be even more difficult now that there's 10 laps of racing under the belt, or 15 laps, I think, of racing under the belt since we went back to green flag. So we have to keep an eye on that when we go back to green, which should be in a lap and a half, if I had to give a guess. But yeah, great job by everybody to avoid that, not make that worse. And it's worth noting with Meredith in the 17th sliding up the hill as well. Nobody hitting him either. I think that's a big moment. I do want to say a lot of drivers give flack to this incident warnings and how short of a limit there is to it. I think that right there, Kev, is the reason why, though. These drivers, we'd seen it earlier this season, same situation. They're flying in at full speed, slamming into each other. They know they can't get away with much. You can only get a handful of 4Xs before you're out of the race. So definitely making everybody drive with their heads that little bit extra. I think it's a great addition to keep this as clean as it can.
It is a great addition, and it's worth noting as well is it's basically the same as you see in an iRacing official session. It's 17 X's, but it's actually pretty much close to 60, we'll call it that. So if you rack up 3-4 X's in a span of like 150 laps, you got to drive like Little Miss Daisy to ensure you keep it safe out on the track. One to go here officially now. It's going to be Peach, Wygent, row 1, Height, Kirk, row 2, Sharp, Meredith, row 3, Zier, Roberg, row 4, Game and Swatzer, row 5. All cars comfortable make it to the end of the stage without any fuel concerns or tire concerns. We got Dustin Hall, first of the cars that elected to come in. He'll be starting in P23 with 4 fresh tires. We'll see if he can move his way through the field. His pace car is going to get on ready here off 4 and pull off, leave control under Hunter Peach, who will try to control the field and get a good lunge here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's pretty much led every lap since he took the lead midway through stage 1. We'll see if he can hold on for another restart against Pacey Wygent. Green flag in the air. Alistair Kirk gets a much more sturdy restart than he did at the start of stage 2, and so far so good as far as wheel spin goes. And how about this? Pacey Wygent trying to take the fight on the outside, gonna hang that left front fender on the outside of the 20 of Peach. That's not gonna be smooth sailing for the Peach man yet. He's gonna have to pack it in deep into 3 and 4.
Yeah, we'll see how aggressive he wants to dive. You do not want to chip your hand early here, especially if you met maybe your main rival when the white flag comes out in about a couple hours' time. But right now, Wygent's still going to rip and ride it on the preferred line here. I think Peach is going to have to concede here, at least for the moment. So put Pacey Wygent up to the front. Peach will now be in second, but I know that 20 was aggressive when he needed to be and cut through the field like a hot knife through butter. So I don't think this is going to be a long stop for him right now in second. But if he's not careful, he's going to have a hungry 3 and 21 occupying his mirrors. And you can see further back there, the 17 of Meredith is making a move on the 71 of Sharp.
Yeah, the 20 car shouldn't be too worried, but the thing that Wygent just did, this is a big disruptor. This is the first time today that somebody has passed Hunter Peach instead of him passing somebody else. And granted, just because of the way the restart went, you could say this or that, but now Peach has to find a way back around Wygent, and we didn't see Wygent at the front until that last restart, so now we're really seeing the true pace of that 00 car. I think we have a race on our hands.
So too, it is going to be a good old-fashioned slobber knocker as these cars battle out. Zier and Roberg fighting for 7th. The only real ace-up car really going forward here is that 97, as Roberg is now sitting firmly at least inside the top 10. Gaiman as well there, you can see in the far shot, really trying to just slowly lurk here to make a good lunge here. But back up front, Wygent is doing whatever he can. He's still focused on this battle, though, between Sharp and Roberg, and well along with Meredith, as it is just pure battling here. But you can see up front, like I was talking about, 20 is just trying whatever he can do, changing lines, making different moves here to try what he can do to get a run off, and that is a good run on the high side, clips the wall just a tiny bit, gives it a kiss. Wygent will lead that lap, but now Peach ripping around that high side. I think he's going to noom him on by.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time, unfortunately, but Wygent putting up a decent fight. That 20 car getting real friendly with the wall. And how about this? Katie Height going to take advantage as well. That outside line, really the preferred lane here. And Height's going to get a good run through the middle. Why? Oh my goodness. Wygent going to try and clear himself. Nearly gets turned. Peach smacks the wall from the lead. He's hit the wall 3 times in 2 laps. None of it to do any damage, but he is using every millimeter of this venue.
Yeah, using all the track which is given to you within the lines, even though WL line only applies on super speedways. So he could even go lower if he wanted to, but he may end up getting a little bit of a reprimand from the stewards. But right now, it's still Peach, Wygent, Height, Kirk, Meredith, as we've hit officially lap 78. About 23 laps to go before we see the end of stage number 2. And Peach looks poised to be the driver that's going to sweep both stages. But you can see right now, though, Wygent, he's definitely looking out the front of the glass here. Has to keep an eye on the rearview mirror, or I guess the visual dash, to ensure that the 3 and the 21 aren't going to get pouncy.
Yeah, I don't think Height appreciated the move with Wygent squeaking into that 0.99 space of a car gap. Gave him a big push down into turn 1, but has since backed off a little bit. So Height looking pretty content in 3rd. But what this has all done, all this squabbling, has allowed for both Meredith and company to pull up to the back of this fight. So now it's a 5-horse race, might be a 6-horse race in a few laps' time. It is a whole hound of Mustangs catching up to the back of these 3 leaders.
Yeah, it's one Toyota, and then it's, like you said, a bunch of Fords. The only Chevy in that pack inside the top 8. is that number 3 machine of Caitlin Height. So doing the bow ties proud at the very least, but she's still got to get that giddy up going. She doesn't want to get swallowed by a bunch of Fords. Right now, you can see as we ride on board with the hood camera of Pacey Wygent, he'll try what he can do, changing different lines, but he's not getting that giddy up and go that 20 was seeming to find on the back of his rear bumper. As you can see the rest of the field zoom on by here, pick out where your favorite driver is currently running. So these nice little shots provided by the camera pack here as cars just trying to find their lines.
I am consistently impressed with how close Hunter Peach is getting to that outside retaining wall without touching it. He is getting, I mean, look at how close he's getting up there without touching it. He has hit it quite a few times, but he is absolutely on top of it, and that is giving him so much extra pace because of how on the line he is putting that car. It's giving him that little bit of extra grip, that little bit of aerodynamic push away from that wall, and it's letting him get that extra lap time, which is what everybody is desperately looking for right now. And that grip is not easy to come by. Somehow, all the way up in the marbles, all the way up in the guard railing, 20 Peach is finding it. And with only 17 laps to go this time by until the end of the stage, he may just hang on for a stage sweep.
Yeah, driver's going to definitely check him for grip packs here, make sure he's all on the up and up. Make sure that car is definitely legal, which it definitely is. Hunter Peach would not be a driver that would suit to nefarious needs to get good speed. Is obviously he's already won once this year, so why risk getting disqualified when your playoff seat is firmly at the table? One driver asked me, one person in the chat asked me what were the stages. 50 was the end of stage number 1, and 100 was the end of stage number 2. So those are the 2 stages we see tonight, and afterwards it's going to be a mad dash to the finish between there. But Peach still flexing his muscle, but a little bit further back, Roberg just got around Zier, and I'm keeping an eye on the top 10 right now as Roberg and Zier are still having a big battle there. And you can see that 6, 7, 8, 9 occupying your mirrors, and then it's Swatsworth. And keep an eye on Dustin Hall. Remember, he took fresh tires about halfway through the stage, and he's already gotten his machine all the way back up to 11th here, as he could easily, maybe not win the stage, but get a lot of good points here that he was not probably going to get if he didn't take those fresh tires.
Yeah, it's always a risk being the one person to take fresh tires because you're back there in the back. You're running a lot of risk of getting caught up in a crash, but he's made his way up back to about where he was to begin with. He's got all that tire advantage, and when a track like this has 3 seconds of fall off at a full worn set versus a brand new fresh set, that means that even when he's not trying, Dustin Hall should be running at least a second faster a lap than most of these drivers, and that shows in the way he's putting this car around on the racetrack. He has slowly but surely picked his way back up to almost the points, and he should be able to continue with that momentum as he's trying to work on Shad Swatsworth right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dustin Hall gets up to that group of Kirk and Meredith before this is all said and done.
And just worth noting, Bobby Blauer's on the same strategy, just behind him in P13, trying to watch this battle here. P12, I should say. He's in his own little battle here. He is also, remember, got P4 in stage number 1, if my math serves me correct.
Yes. So
he's got top 5 speed. He can easily rip it on, but now you've hit the thick of the traffic here, and this could be an anchor to the sails here, really slowing down progress here. It's just so much you can do on a racetrack with how little real estate you have. But still, Hall, Swatsworth battling it out. You can see Hall on that low side, not preferred line, but with all the cars on that high groove, there's really nothing you can do. You just got to ride your ride and hope you can get some clean air eventually. And now you can see right there, Blauer's going to take advantage of that little checkup Hall had on the corner panel. And look at Blauer's. He's trying to make a third line work here by mowing down that wall, as he'll still stay in P11. But still, Hall, Swatsworth battling hard here for the last stage point in this stage. Next time by, we'll have 10 laps to go.
Yeah, he tried to get a little taste of the Hunter Peach experience and unfortunately ended up eating all the crumbs that Peach was leaving behind. But you can't knock him for trying it, because I think if you're going to make these moves with these tires, you're going to have to find a way around the outside of these guys. We can see Hall still making progress, but it is so difficult with both of them on worn tires, even if they are better tires, to make the grip stick down there on the bottom.
Those crumbs up there are peach cobbler crumbs. I'll definitely have a bite of that. Is definitely a tasty line there. As Blauers hits the wall again, and I think he's just going all for broke here. This is another driver. He hits it again. He's got to be careful. You can give a lot of flush hits to those sides, but if you keep hitting it harder and harder and harder, you could eventually break something. As Hunter Peach just had a bit of a DC there for a second. He's back in though, so he's got to be careful as the internet holds on. But as we follow Dustin on that low side, now up to Josh Gaiman. Swatsworth almost got sent sideways there as he tried to come up and got into the corner panel of Roberg. So now Swatsworth, the odd one out outside the top 10, as I see someone pop up with a little button on the button. Championship implications.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but he did a nice job to hang on to it and not make that situation any worse than it already was. I find it interesting that Dustin Hall is just not being very adamant about that top lane. You would think he'd try and squeeze it in. Obviously, there's a lot more risk than reward on that, but if he could just get to the outside of Gaiman, he could be by in just about at one corner after the fact. You can see Gaiman knows that just as well as Hall does, because he is doing everything he can to not give it up, but he's left a lot of vulnerabilities in the last few laps. Hall just has not been able to take advantage, and Bobby Blowers has been a lot more aggressive, and I think that's why we're seeing Blowers about to go around Hall.
Yeah, fortune favors the bold, and Blowers is definitely showing it right now, but again, it can lead to a path of mass destruction. As you can see, Blowers on the radio apologetic for what happened with Hall right there, as he almost ran him out of the road. Coming up next time, they'll have 5 laps to go in the stage. You can see a gag right there fighting between Meredith and Height here, as 3, 4, 5, 6 under a blanket here. As we see the battle rage on Meredith, another driver needing crucial points here, defending a series champion, looking to try to do what no driver has done. Find 2 championships in one HTL career, and he's looking to try to etch his name on that battle. He's now side by side with Kirk for P5. But it's worth noting, the top 2 of Peach and YG have left this second gaggle of cars in the dust. So at the moment, if you're a betting man, especially Joe, he's watching at home, he's calling his bookie to put the odds on Peach or YG taking victory in this thing, as they are now 3 clear of that battle for third.
Wygen very clearly able to match Peach's performance, but if I were to put a bet on it, I am a believer in the safe gamble here, and it's got to be Hunter Peach. He's just been Wygen's had his number a little bit, but still look at that gap, Kevin. It's just not going away. Peach had to get around Wygen in this stint, had to find a way back around, was aggressive when he needed to be, but still seems to save more tire in the long run anyhow. These two in a league of their own, and it's the best of the rest behind them.
It's interesting because look at that gaggle. That is 3 all the way to 10, all under a blanket here. So they can easily volatile points here, especially if a car gets loose, kicks off a corner bad. You can go from getting 8 points in a stage all the way to 1 or none if you aren't careful here. But leader just took it 2 laps to go in the stage. You cannot pit now if you want to not see him a pedal. As you can see, I think that was Blowers almost kissing the wall.
Yeah, no,
there.
Gaiman just put him in the wall, blocked him all the way into the fence, and look at where Gaiman's trying to find room where none really exists. We saw Sharp smack the wall a couple laps ago. They're getting real dicey there. The battle's up at the very front, but these guys are playing a really risky game. They're either all going to get stage points or they're all going to get a one-way ticket to the junkyard.
Gotta be careful not to leave X's as well, as those penalty points can add up. Run-ins will give you X's if you're not careful. 1 to go in the stage. Peach and Wygen on the backstretch here. Remember, all cars will cross the line in order to get their positions, so it will not be once that 20 crosses the line here. And you can see right now, Blowers making it 3 wide through 3 right now. Side by side, gonna force Kirk up. Kirk in the sucker hole as Peach comes across the line to win the stage. 4 wide. Hall gonna get squirrely. They'll all keep spots. Zier trying to spoil. Can't get it done. So it'll be Peach winning the stage with Wygen in tow. And then we'll go over the rest of the results in second. But Zier will be the last driver in to get points as she finishes 10th. I think Roberg ended up getting checked out there, as he will be the one in that little gaggle that didn't get points. Speaking of the stage, it will be Peach, Wygen, Height, Meredith, Blowers, Sharp, Gaiman, Kirk, Hall, Zier, your top 10 to end stage number 2.
Take a look back at this if we can. Coming to the white flag on the stage now. We had to cut away for this to see our leaders take the stage, but yeah, this is the gaggle, and this is what ended up being the end of stage 2. It's amazing they didn't wad it up any more than they did, because this very clearly could have been a miserable end to what was an otherwise really good stage. You can see Blowers taking it 3 wide on Kirk. Kirk trying to give room, slides up, gets into the 17. Gaiman trying to find the opportunity, takes it 4 wide. Hall getting absolutely butted out of that one, but everybody keeps it pointed in the right direction. They all get to live to see another day. Some hurt feelings, some hurt egos, but the race car is all pointing in the right direction and shiny side up.
Yeah, if you gave Sharp a chance there going through that corner, you saw she was going to make it 4 wide if it was given the opportunity. It only took a sliding Gaiman to end that opportunity. Pit lane officially open. Everyone most likely coming on in. Lucky Dog will go to Byron Jones, as he will now be on the lead lap, giving us 31 cars on the lead lap. As we see the cars pit, we'll do a quick little race summary here. We have 33 cars still running. Constantinu, Reynolds, Pinnell all took it behind the wall, including our own Kristina Ryan, who didn't take the flag as well, only by a scoring glitch. Other than that, 102 laps of 219 completed, 117 laps to go, 3 cautions, 2 for stage breaks, 1 for an incident on track with Josh Arnold, 10 caution laps preceded by those, and 5 lead changes. Hunter Beach has done at least 3 of them. Right now, he will not win the race off pit lane. It will be Meredith and Height getting the jobs done with their virtual crews. So very slow stop by Hunter Beach. Even though he had one of the best pit time deltas, he had a 14:30 in comparison to Meredith and Height at 68 and 19, both in the 43-14 second. So it must have been a little checkup somewhere in there that cost that 20 his lead coming back off pit lane.
Could have brought it in too gentle, could have slightly overdone it on the entry. These things don't quite add up to the pit time itself necessarily, so could have been an entry or exit problem. Could have had to check up for traffic, like you said, Kevin. A lot of variables there, but I wouldn't sweat it unless it was a ton of positions. Hunter Beach losing spots in pit lane, however, still well over a pit stop to go in this race once we go back to green flag racing. And the fact of the matter is that 20 car has been absolutely unstoppable. The only crutch for him is that the 00 Pacey Wygen has been the only person to match his pace, and he's going to be restarting with clean air. But keep in mind, we saw drivers spinning the tires on fresh rubber on the stage 2 start. Have to be careful he doesn't get caught up in any shenanigans this time around. But how about Zachary Meredith? Slowly but surely been working his way up through the field. He finds himself on the podium currently. He is looking more and more like a threat as well as this race continues on.
I can tell you one thing. I went back and looked to see what exactly happened to Pete. He slid going into the box. That's what cost him that time. And with how it's been running, we look poised to see green flag pit stop. So it's better to get that mistake out now rather than in a situation where it can really hurt you.
Big situation, yeah. Alistair Kirk coming back down to top off or something with the number 21 machine. You see a little bit of damage on that left rear quarter panel. That's not going to hurt the performance of that machine. So Alistair Kirk, I think, coming in to get some more fuel, perhaps, trying to make it, if this race does go green to the end, get that little bit of extra Sunoco racing fuel to maybe help him not have to make a pit stop once this thing goes back green. But very interesting to see one of the strongest drivers today pull down pit lane with 1 to go.
Odd indeed, especially with the rumor mill being that 2-stop may be the way to go in the final stage rather than the 1-stop. We'll have to see again with tires, but obviously Peach has shown along with Wygen, you can go 50 laps plus on one set of tires, but other drivers definitely struggled when those tires hit a certain limit. So different drivers, different strengths, but I can definitely say both the 00 and the 20 have a 1-stop probably on the mind. Pace are going to pull off. It's going to be on the control of Wygen with Caitlin Height flanking him on the outside line. As they enter the restart zone, green flag is out, and away we go for the final stage of the HTL Rockingham 300 at, well, Rockingham.
Caution. I was about to just say nice and easy so far, but that's not the case. Looks like Byron Jones has found himself the wrong way round in turn number 3. The front runners got through there with no harm, no foul, but unfortunately the back half not so lucky. This is going to help Alistair Kirk a little bit, bail him out just a teeny bit, but I am curious to see what happened to Byron Jones. He was not very far up the front of the field to begin with. He was at the very tail end, in fact, and out of turn number 2. Ooh, the 44 gets sideways. A Smeal that sent the 8 in the wall, and the 19 nearly went up on his lid. So it was a 3-car crash, and Byron had nothing to do with that one.
Yeah, it was an odd situation all around for all those machines. Obviously, one Spiel spun and the other Spiel took out. Byron Jones had nothing to do with it, per se. Obviously, I heard a driver complain about no brakes being held, and I guess maybe that was why he complained about it here. Take a look at the eye in the sky camera here. As you can see, the 8 right there on the Duncan machine of David Spiel Jr. running low, going high. And you can see right there, Spiel gets the back of Sasic, and that's going to put Sasic a chance like the lucky dog. Then you can see the 8 hit the wall there, gets low right into the 19, spins Jones out. Luckily, minor damage for Byron Jones, though, so that should be easily fixable and get him back in the race, but a lot of time lost for him. But I thought the 9 wasn't going to get the lucky dog because he was technically with a contact there in the caution. He will be officially the lucky dog as we see the caution again. The 44 spins it, clips the wall just a tiny bit there, and again, minor damage for the driver that was fastest in both practice sessions. So again, very odd situation from the 44. Has some raw speed, but just hasn't really shown it.
Yeah, it was a really weird wreck, honestly. It was the car that actually brought out the yellow. It wasn't even the one that started it. It was the 44 going backwards and everybody kind of spinning in sympathy and trying to correct their cars from the little wiggles that these next-gen machines tend to give. Love it or hate it. And kind of just people stepping on each other's toes. There's not a lot of room on that back straightaway, and unfortunately Byron Jones, innocent bystander of it all. But Pacey Weich and Zach Meredith, Katie Height, Blowers, Peach, Sharp, Gaiman, Zier, Roberg, and Shad Swatsworth, the top 10. They'll all get one more chance to re-rack and go after it. Now, this could poke it into making it on one more stop on fuel now, but like you mentioned earlier, Kevin, it might not even be worth it with how bad the tire fall off is. The 2-stop seems to be the superior option right now.
But if we keep getting cautions, it will push the limit where drivers will get more and more comfortable with the 1-stop. We'll have to keep an eye on our metrics. Obviously, we're still not even within 100 laps yet. We'll get there soon. Right now, when we get the green flag, we'll have 109 laps remaining in this race. So it's going to be a scramble, but we're not at that magical number, considering 56 seems to be the absolute limit you can push it. As you can see again with the stages and the sets of tires and the fuel, it seems like 57 is a pipe dream to hit. It seems like 56 is more of speed. So at that note, if you go 56 and 56, that's easily going to hit you to 112. So in theory, again, it's doable to do it on one stop, but can you do it? The question is
it worth it?
Yeah, what driver will be willing to do it? And again, with some of these drivers being in spots where they need wins or needs risks to get good points, you could see someone maybe like a Sharp, someone like a Thompson, a Gibney, a Dotson, maybe even a Danny or a Mongol currently in by a couple points, maybe rolling the dice here on a 1-stop when maybe the rest of the field elects to go for 2.
It's going to be interesting. It opens up a new level to this race, but of course, like you said, Kevin, if there's a couple more crashes, we go to a few more laps in, it's going to throw that all out the window. It's not going to matter, because once you get within that level of trade-off to where you get very comfortably into a 1-stop, everybody's probably going to do it anyway, because you're always going to want to make the pit stop under caution versus during the green flag. So even if it does end up being a 2-stop, if you eliminate one of those under the green flag or under a caution flag, then there you go, you're made in the shade, and then you can really take the fight to guys like Wygant and Peach if you know, you knock 20-30 seconds of pit time out of the race. So it'll be interesting to see nonetheless, but hopefully we get back to some green flag racing. A little hiccup at the very tail end of the field, but it's going to allow for Wygant now to have to fight with the 17 of Meredith. First time he's been on the front row, and we're back underway.
Run there by Wygant. Blowers and Meredith can be side by side on the high side. Blowers again showing some good speed there. Just need to get him some clean air. Another driver to maybe keep an eye on as he runs on that high groove along with Meredith side by side. And then it's Height, and then you can see Peach kind of putting a little bit of the pinch on Sharp there in the far shot, and Gaiman as well. So really, this is a spot Peach really hasn't been in. Buried in traffic, falling backwards. He's gonna have to try to find his footing if he wants to get back towards the front. We'll keep our eyes on the prize up at the front. Meredith will clear Blowers. Blowers clips the wall. Blowers going to go defensive. And there's Hunter Peach just trying to stop the bleeding here and just say, hey, give me a second to collect myself, and then I'm going to the front. But right now he's got to poke to find a line somewhere to pop in.
Blowers had an amazing restart, but didn't have the opportunity to capitalize on it with that wall hit there, but he does safely slot himself into P3 now, so that outside line getting a brilliant start once again. Now trying to fight off Caitlin Height as we ride on board with Blowers in that machine. He's going to put the fight back to Meredith, and Wygant up in the fence out of turn number 4. That's going to slow him down quite a bit and open the door for the 17 of Meredith to try to take the lead for the first time tonight, and he's going to pack it in deep into T1.
Yeah, Meredith, one of those drivers has those long winless streaks, trying to break it, get that momentum, get something going good for the previous champion, trying to show that maybe that season wasn't a fluke. There you can see on the board right there. Obviously named not in the winless drivers category, but definitely still at least on a point. There's the longest winless drought, though. And you can see, well, he's not there either.
He is, he's 6th.
Oh, he's 6th. Yeah, he is. Thank you. Saw him kind of buried on that list. But you can see longest winless out at least of 34 races. Again, some drivers have had longer, but you still don't want your name on that list if you can help it. Hunter Peach did have his name on that list, and he found victory at Atlanta, so it's not that hard to find victory when the stars align.
Yeah, make it sound so easy, Kevin. When the stars align, it's easy to win. Yeah, of course, but looking like it's getting increasingly more difficult. Obviously, he's doing better this season, but after he won his championship, Zachary Meredith had a miserable season following it. It was absolutely a hangover for him, but it looks like he's finally back to form in the midpoint of this season, coming towards the chase. It's when it matters the most for him to try and have another opportunity to go for a second championship, and he will take the lead from the second fastest car on the racetrack and will hang on to at least lead a lap. And whether or not it helps him too much in the points, it's got to feel good to get clean air for the first time in a very long time.
And ifs and buts became nuts. Every day would be Christmas. And right now, it's looking good for that 17. But Wygen definitely not going to go away quietly here as he would pin a low side here. Then you got the 3 just sitting behind the mirrors here. A little bit further back, you see Hunter Peach making it 3 wide right there for the battle for 5th. As he's going to make it a 2-for-1 special. Box Sharp up into Gaiman. Got to be careful here. Sharp making a little bit of a reprieve from that from Gaiman, even though technically it was Hunter Peach really pushing the issue there, making at least a few enemies, but he knows he's got the fastest car on track. He's not going to sit around and dilly-dally. He wants clean air. He wants to get away from this. Sometimes you got to really flex the arm there to send the message, hey, I'm done with you. It's my time to shine. I'm going towards the front.
There was a front fender, a whole front clip laying down on the apron in 3 and 4 there. I don't know if you caught that, Kevin. Somebody's had a mistake and gone to the pit lane. Swatsworth. So huge error for Shad Swatsworth. Try and see what happened to him to bring him into the pit lane now. We'll see. This already happened at this point. So he was running very well for himself and was trying to help himself in the championship. So he's already wrecked at this point too. So I wonder what has happened to Shad to put him in this scenario. Here it is. He gets hooked by Boone and then smacks it into the guard railing on the outside in turn 3 and 4.
Almost collected Blake Henderson there too. That would have been an interesting situation to bring out the caution, but since it was only one car, we stay green, and obviously the toe link broken on the 18. It's probably going to be day done for Swatsworth. So possibly hand out the window saying, look, it stinks. But again, having a 100-point cushion, still poised to make the playoffs. But right now, definitely going to hurt. Driver on the move, though, 20-100 Peach. I told you, once he got around that battle between Sharp and Game, he was like, I got to go, and I got to go now. Got to be a little aggressive. He's now gotten around height, and he's charging. Now going to be with his Moedo foil here, and Pacey Wygen as the battle for second now raging on.
Yeah, we talked about that battle with Pelletier Sharp. We've seen how aggressive Pelletier Sharp's been driving. What comes around goes around. You know, Peach really forced her hand there, but how many times did we see her shove Peach all the way up to the guard railing, basically, and give him zero room for error? What comes around goes around. These drivers absolutely race each other how they get raced. A lot of them drive off of that mantra. They're very clean drivers, but if you start racing them dirty, they're going to race you too. Not that anything Sharp did was dirty, but the more aggressive you race, the more aggressive they're going to push back, and that's exactly what Peach had to do to get around the 71 car.
You got to say, hey, you got to just sometimes show that, look, you can't be Mr. Nice Guy sometimes in these spots. You have to push and just say, look, you're gonna do it to me, I'm gonna do it to you. I'm gonna wreck you, but I gotta go, and we gotta make this move happen. Right now, we're riding aboard with the 20 Green Machine as he's sitting in 3rd spot right now, just maybe buying his time a little bit, knowing he's done the hard part. He's now caught back up to the leaders, but you don't want his play passive for too long. Scott Dixon can atone to that one. You don't want to sit around for too long, or else things can happen. He's still sitting in 3rd. There you can see behind the shot right now. Top 10, pretty much single file for the most part there. Sosi looks like he's maybe making a move possibly, but going to fall back in line. So top 10, all under a blanket. And one more driver I want to take a note of as well. Dean Clevitt did not elect to qualify in this race, forego his qualifying time. Firmly inside the top 10 right now, so he is a driver on a mission right now, and he's showing that, hey, qualifying isn't all it is to crack up to be if he can get towards the front.
Yeah, give DeMonte Dotson his flowers as well. He's fighting around the top 10, having a great run in the number 31 machine. So both of them have worked their way from the back of the field. Both of them did not qualify, and now they're flirting with the top 10 when it matters most here towards the end of this race. So they're doing a great job as it stands. And within 100 laps to go now, Kevin, this is when things start to really heat up. We're well past halfway. We're getting into the point where there's a couple pit stops, maybe one pit stop for the gamblers. You see Gaiman there touch the wall, height falling back a little bit here. This is where things you start making your bed. You either push now, burn up all the tires, pit twice, or you start really taking care of your stuff to get that one stop possibility. So I'm going to be very interested to see what these different drivers do. You see Peach running very gingerly. He had to work on a lot of that rubber to get up to this position. He's got to try and save a little bit of it right now, I think, is why he's falling back. But as it stands, once again, Meredith, Wygant, Peach up front. These have been the class of the field so far, with Meredith popping in at the last moment.
I'm watching times right now, seeing how drivers are running and how they're kind of holding their times right now. Most drivers are all in the same range of 24 threes to 24 sixes. So you probably put basically first all the way to about 20th in that line. I am seeing Mongol and Gibby dropping their pace just a tiny bit here. So maybe they are deeming a one-stop viable. Maybe they just don't have that pace right now. Maybe they're dealing with other problems. Who knows? But they're trying to do something. But up front, you can see Wygant really forcing that 17 really to try to get that extra gear here to hang on. Reminds me of Keselowski at the Brickyard just a couple weeks ago, having to really just basically push to stay ahead of two stronger cars behind him. And he's doing the job right now. Again, showing why he's a previous champion. Pace Wygant, a champion in his own right, except that was in the Truck Series of Love. And again, first driver to win a Truck Championship and a Cup Championship here at HTL. Currently sitting in second as they're now pulling away from Hunter Peach, which is not a lot of things a lot of drivers have said today so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's you've got to think Peach is playing the strategy game, because he has just been so on and off today. It's like flipping a switch when he just starts throwing down purple lap time after purple lap time. Though it's worth noting the one thing, the sun is well and truly out at the moment, and Peach has been particularly quick in the cloudy conditions. I don't think he's slow by any means, but it is going to be interesting to see if maybe the hotter track temp's going to suit the 00 and 17 just a skosh more than what that 20 car has seen today. And look at 00, Wygant thinking about a little bit of a crossover, maybe just getting sideways out of turn 4.
Again, a tiny bit loose is fast sometimes. You can burn your tires up if it's a little bit too loose. Peach, though, now slowly reeling back in Wygant and Meredith. Maybe we'll bring in and they keep fighting. Could easily bring Height, Gaiman up the fourth, by the way. Keep an eye on him. But Gaiman, Height, Flowers bring them all in tow as well. So as the battle rages on, more cars will catch up if they don't settle out between themselves. But right now, I don't think Wygant's in the need to really push the issue. But if that 20 gets bigger and bigger in the mirrors, he may say, all right, 17, you're not going fast enough. I got to press and I got to make a move.
Yeah, right now this is exactly what Peach wants to see. They're not pulling away from him. It looks like he's still taking care of his stuff. He's finding the wall here and there, but not enough to slow him down. He found it again there, as did the 00 Wygant, but everybody's just kind of rolling around. You can see the way he's floating the car into the corner, letting it fade up, whereas the 00 and the 17 doing the exact opposite. They're floating it in high and then cutting down low. You'll see how they gain that much down the backstretch, but then watch again. They come into 3 and 4. Peach enters a lot earlier in. They're all three about to just, I mean, he is scraping the wall. You can hear it, just barely scraping the wall, but not enough to really put any hindrance on the speed. So the front two running the same lane, Peach running a similar lane through 3 and 4, but a completely different one through 1 and 2. And I think that might be where the tire saving difference is, because these guys on the top are burning their tires a bit quicker.
And in turn, obviously those scratches, even though they could affect performance at the end of the day, they're not hitting it hard enough. And if there is a virtual victory die cast, a few little scratches make the thing look a little bit cooler. Meredith still leading the way, though, hit lap 136. Safe to assume we'll see the pit stop window open in about 25 laps, give or take, obviously bearing a caution or something. There's Swatzer re-entering the track, multiple laps down after his conversion with the wall. Just trying to, again, hang on, get what he can get here, as he'll just stay low here, not play a factor here. He'll just let the cars go on by. Meredith still leading the way, and they can see the rest of the field trying to navigate around.
I'm surprised he did that, because he's on fresh tires. You would think even with damage or engine woes or whatever, he should pull away from these leaders with the fresh rubber. So I don't mind him pulling off the track at all, but the issue he may run into now, Kevin, is that he's going to get back on the throttle and catch up to everybody again immediately, because he's going to have that much faster tires. It is that big of a difference.
I think it's partly, but at the same point, he doesn't want to make any enemies. You don't.
Oh, absolutely.
In a couple weeks, we spoke about Constantine a bit earlier, but she kind of really hurt herself when she got suspended before a road course race, which is something that's in her wheelhouse. So I think Swatters is like, look, I'm going to make playoffs regardless. I got one idea in my mind is to win a championship game and really hit that wall there and spark it up. But to kind of finish my point, you don't want to make enemies, you don't want to make pain. And in turn, if another driver, let's say, goes lap down, you're leading this race, you don't want to be a thorn in their side. So I think Swatz was just saying, look, diplomatic, my goose is cooked here, I'm too many laps down.
Peach gets sideways down the backstretch. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, he had hit the wall in 1 and 2 and then tried to use it to his advantage to do a crossover on Wygen, but got the rear end all lit up and nearly lost it down the backstretch. That's the first real mistake I think we've seen out of Hunter Peach all day long. He did a nice job to hang on to it, but with a wall hit and then nearly spinning within 100 feet of each other, his confidence has just gone to zero.
Yeah, those are the things when you hit that wall just a tiny bit, it gets in the back of your mind like a faucet. You're like, all right, what did I do wrong? What can I do to avoid to do that again? And also possibly any damage he may have on it and tire wear that he may have incorporated trying to save a machine that was going low. So all these things he has to put in the back of his mind, but he has to say, all right, forget it. Got to do it again. It's like when you get in a major crash. You want to not lift anymore. You want to lift, avoid it. But at some point, you have to convince yourself that, look, accidents happen. I got to keep the foot down in these situations and do what I need to do. So we'll see if Peach can recover it. He's a driver that definitely will. Sharp very high there, right there, as we're watching right on the battle on behind three car in position 6, as Height is holding strong here, but Sharp not going away like a bad rash.
Yeah, we're looking at this right now because these two have a whole lot of history, and Sharp has been particularly aggressive today, and I can tell you of all the drivers in the field who hate getting raced aggressively, the number 3 car is probably at the top of the list, so might be the next caution if they aren't too careful. We've been seeing Sharp abusing a lot of drivers' doors and bumpers today. But that battle is going to continue on for P6 right now. You can see Blowers getting up. A lot of them are just kind of brushing the wall. It's interesting. It's looking more like Darlington than it is Rockingham at the moment. And Peach has caught up to Pacey Wygent now, so this is big. And Wygent just hit the wall, so Peach might actually get this position.
Yeah, and again, Meredith's pulling away here. He's got a 1.3 second gap. So right now, Wygent not keeping up with Meredith. Meredith, I thought, was maybe being holding up just a tiny bit. Wygent, but Meredith's like, you know what? Bet I'm going to prove the commentator wrong and pull away. So he is looking good there. You can see Peach hit the wall just a bit again. So Meredith using that clean track to his advantage. And now Peach and Wygent going to have their battle again. Flowers just made a move on Gaiman for fourth.
Yeah, we see that battle right behind. Yeah. And I don't want to say anything because with the latency, there's always a little bit. It's hard to tell if these guys, oh my goodness, what an aggressive move. That is really going to get, that's going to be what we're going to be talking about later, I think. Pacey Wygent not going to appreciate the move by Hunter Peach at all. He basically said, I'm clearing myself and there's nothing you could do about it. Talked about aggressive moves that we've been seeing. We saw him make an aggressive move on Pelletier Sharp, but that one was pretty egregious. He's got the move done, though. If you're going to be like that, if you're going to make a move like that, you better get the heck out of the way of the person you did that to, or else you can find yourself backwards. But Wygent now in a world of hurt because of it.
I wonder if that was intentional. Maybe he cooked the corner a bit too much. Who knows? Drivers have different rules here, different methods. But anyway, that's still going to put an enemy on the list. We'll watch on board here again the replay of the pass. As worth noting on live action, Dustal is about to pit here. He's in his box, so could be the window opening up here. But we're keeping an eye on it right now. This is the previous lap.
This is off into turn 1.
Yeah, it's going to be into 1 here. Keep an eye on that 20 machine. Getting a good run, hitting the corner, goes low, and he just shoots way up there. Didn't look it. I don't know. You could argue intentional. Maybe it kicked.
Well, yeah, I don't think he tried to put him in the wall, but I think he definitely tried to pack it off into turn 1 and then realized that he was ambition over adhesion for sure. And absolutely, whether it was intentional or not, stuffed Pacey Wygent into the guard railing. So not going to be very appreciative of that. But like I said, if you're going to make moves like that, intentional or not, you better make sure you get distance between the person you just did that to. And that's exactly what he's done. So clean, definitely not. Intentional, probably not. But nevertheless, the move is done, and Hunter Peach has put himself back in a situation to try and win this race. So dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
Yeah, I think at the very least, 2 things to note. Obviously, drivers have long memories, and you don't want to drive. You don't want to get too big for your suspenders.
Yeah.
Blowers hits the wall there, and he's going to get a good treat. It's going to bounce right off and keep it going, almost like the old NASCAR games.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about a minute ago, Kevin. I don't want to cut you off, but this is exactly what I was talking about. I don't know if this is server-side lag, but we've been seeing a lot of drivers brush the wall. But as the run continues on, Kevin, it almost looks like they're leaning it up there intentionally. Like the wall, if they hit it just a little bit, it's like almost stabilizing that car. They're not wall riding per se, and it could just be the server side making it look like they're hitting the wall a little bit. We got to keep that in mind too. But I'll tell you what, they have been hitting that wall more and more aggressively as the race has gone on, and I almost don't think that's on accident. I think they're almost saying, well, it's better to just float it off and hit the wall a little bit as long as it's not hard.
It's weird. It's odd to see a short track drive like a Homestead or a Fontana or something where you can hit that wall just a bit and keep it going. It's very odd, but the drivers have found that out. They're making it kind of work to their treat here. As you can see, Wajid, though, after that move is still sinking like a stone here, as now Height, Gaiman, and Sosi, 2 Lady Liberty cars have been dominating the season, are now occupying the double zeros mirror right now. Actually, it's basically 2 Lady Liberties and the sister team in Valkyrie, so Wajid, the only car for Coast to Coast, is trying to hang on while he's got 3 angry Hornet sister teams fighting each other right behind. So right now, doing a good job. Speaking of, cars have made some pit stops here as well, as we're keeping an eye on that as well. Some of the 2-stoppers may have already signaled they're coming in. Worth noting, Blake Henderson, Alfred Denny, Dean Clavitt, Dustin Hall, Zachary Aberson, DeMonte Dotson, all in early here. So they are on differing strategy here. Obviously, pit lane not opened up, but actually 21 also in as well. Alistair Kirk in as well. And we know, personally, the window will open up around 164, if my math's correct. I'll do some quick maths. That is the absolute, you could make it on a one-stop and be comfortable. Yeah, it will actually end up being, as I do my math real fast, it will be 163. So we're within 10 laps of making on a one-stop comfortably. So if you're going to make a 2-stop call, you have to come in now if you want to do it. If not, everyone's on the one-stop.
Yeah, we've been riding on board with Dustin Hall, who's made his pit stop. Look at how much faster a fresh set of tires are. He's been flying around the circuit. That's why we've been on board with him. This is the difference that a pit stop makes. This is what fresh tires will do to you. So keep an eye on that as this battle continues to rage on with Wygant and Gaiman. It looks like Kirk just made his way through. And it looks like Height has scooted back a little bit, so I don't know if she got involved in something or she's just letting off a bit, but now here comes Susie trying to find a way around. Pacey Wygant is hot after being stuffed in the wall for P2, and he is not going to let anybody else go by without an absolute dogfight. He's done a great job to hang on to it so far, but now with Smeal on fresh tires, I think he might have to let this one go, but he's going to have the momentum at least to try and fight this one out still.
Because if he blocks up and keeps blocking, you're just going to have to tell people that the only way you could pass me is do what Hunter Peach did to me. And I don't think he wants that either. So he's going to fight hard, but it just sends the motion that you're going to have to forcefully pass me if you want to get around. Dotson as well on the fresh tires. Going to go low side here on Gaiman. Should be worth noting, obviously, fastest car right now in the last laps right there is obviously Dustin Hall, 24.27. For retrospect, running about a dead even second faster than Zachary Meredith and about 1.2 clear of Blowers in second. So overall, that speed is showing as Sosi basically putting the double zero in the wall. Dots going to make it 3 wide here. Wygant is just getting tired of getting bowling. Sosi gets some damage. He's going around right in front of the field. Caution is out. He'll lock it down. And Wygant just said, I've had enough. And I am not doing anything here. We're going to get stuck together, and you're going to get the damage.
I don't blame him. He's been getting abused for this whole stint. He got stuffed in the wall one more time. It wasn't this one was a little less egregious. It looked like a tiny touch, but Wygant made it known that he was not going to get put back in the wall, shoved the 81 down the track just a little bit, and Dodson just an innocent bystander at all of it. We'll see if we can get a better view of it, but it wasn't super egregious. It was just a little mistake, but a little bit of instant karma for the 81 there.
Yeah, I think it didn't help as I don't think the double zero knew the 31 on fresh tires was on the low side here and just gave a little shove there and then shoved the 81 back up and a little bit of ping pong here. Good avoidance by the 4 of Apperson.
And Gaiman.
Just to go low there. And Gaiman too. Usually Gaiman finds the bad luck of those situations, but he keeps it pointing in the right direction. Speaking of that 33, will ride on board with him now. As you can see right there, a little wall tap, a little ping pong effect. And you can see right now, big straight shot here as cars just fight position. Then the kitty, who has claws like we talked about, ended up getting bit defanged there as they end up going around.
Yeah, that's a hairball situation, I'm afraid, for Susie. And he's not out of the race, but he's definitely out of contention. I think it's going to be really hard for him to get back. But what this now does is this pretty much sets everybody up for what could be a final stop of this race.
I don't know yet. We're at 160. Again, I specified it was 164 you could make it. 163. We should get the green on basically 163, so it should be doable, but there'll have to be a little bit of save here. Should be worth noting, Dustin Hall thinks he's going to make it to the end here. He will take the track position. He will stay out So Hall will be alone, but looks like he let Meredith back by, so I don't know if that is part of the plan. Actually, I think he was the lucky dog. So overall, he gets flat back. So yeah, he was pitting around. So we'll see if he elects to come in or not. Obviously, free pit stop should just probably do it. And he will not come in, so he will stay out here and just go to the tail end of the longest line. But now, this recycles the field, gets it cycled back up, and presumably eliminates a green flag pit stop for most of this field. Meredith was looking front, charging up front, but now you got to re-energize Blowers, Peach, Wygen right behind you, occupying your mirrors. You got to be careful of that 17. You were holding strong, showing station, but we saw early on Peach. We saw what he's willing to do if you give him a sniff of the lead, and Blowers as well is willing to make a third line work, maybe mow down a wall to get it done. I'm Meredith. I'm a bit worried, at least a little bit, knowing you got a lot of hungry drivers behind you that want to get that win and take that lead.
Yeah, but you've got to put that behind you, because if you smell fear in any of these drivers, you're going to abuse that. I mean, we already saw what they were doing to Wygen. He was playing a bit passive. He was just trying to run his lane, and he got hit twice. He got shoved in the wall twice. We saw, you know, any kind of aggression is just going to be your weakness when you're at this point of the race on fresh tires. What Meredith needs to do is put his head down and try and get a good start, get a good gap, and then maintain that tire until the end of this race, because I think even though we're a few laps short of the window, I think this is not the last caution we're going to see. If it is a quick couple back-to-back yellows, then yeah, I think everybody can make it to the end. But if we do get a little bit of running and then another caution, we can still make it to the end on fuel, but you're going to want a fresh set of boots.
And again, it talks my point. Some drivers take 2 tires and go for the track position. Does that work out if we get a late caution? Because you can presumably hang on for 5-10 laps, but any longer you may be in trouble. Meredith will take the high side here. Blowers will be on the low side. That will be row 1. Wygen, Peach, row 2. Zier, Height, row 3. Trout, Roberg, row 4. Sharp and Arnold, row 5. And this kind of sucks for the cars that try the 2-stop strategy, as they got pinned a lap down. They'll all get the wave around, giving us 26 cars on the lead lap, but Alistair Kirk, strong driver throughout the day, is now pinned officially 1 down, and he's just going to have to hope for a bunch of cautions if he wants to get back in contention.
That's the way strategy goes on short tracks, unfortunately, and that's why a lot of these drivers, even though the 2-stop was the optimal on paper, stayed out and tried to hang on for the 1-stop, because the cautions do happen on occasion. It's Blowers and Meredith into the restart zone. Meredith in control. The green flag's back out, and we're underway again for what could be the final restart of this race.
Blowers with a good run in corner entry there. Diamond well was on the bumper of that 17. Wygen, though, not going to take any prisoners. Going to stay middle groove here as the battle for seconds. Wygen, not again. He's tired of getting bullied. He's going to be the one on the aggression here if the hole opens up. Like, you're going to run me like that, I'm going to run everyone else like that. Meredith leads that lap, but Wygen on the third line on the high side right now, as that has been where he's been stuck for most of this evening.
Yeah, Wygen's on his villain arc right now. He's had one too many drivers stick him in the fence. He is in a car that's literally falling in reverse. I don't know what people expected. You push him one too many times, he's going to come alive, and he is all the way up to P2 now and going to be fighting with Meredith for this position. He's going to probably try to find a way out in front and get some clean air on that car, because he wants to make a statement, I would think, after what just happened to him in that last stint.
Oh, Wygen got a little loose. Oh,
don't want to make that statement.
No, you don't. You don't want to signify that thing is loose, or else you're definitely going to be on a line here. Blowers blinking a little bit more here. Got to be careful to get that under control. Peach, though, going to charge on the high side. Going to get clear for third. And the 2 drivers that had a bit of a tussle up now. Peach is now behind. So do we see a bit of deja vu here? Possibly. Yes. I think Meredith clipped the wall just a bit, and it's going to be game on here in the top 3. Yeah,
Wygen said, remember me. He absolutely chopped the 20-100 Peach going up into turn 1. Didn't leave him a whole lot of room on the back straightaway either. He's going to have the better run down here out of turn 4 as well. So Meredith is loving this, because the 2 guys that aren't too pleased with each other are going to be fighting for the 2nd position. And oh, by the way, they're the 2 other cars that are as fast as you. So good situation here. You can see Wygen still trying to hang tough on that outside lane. This is great stuff.
Yeah, that's Peach made a move that you make with 5 laps to go, hoping they don't catch you. He made it with about 50 to go, and in turn, it's now kind of reaping the line. Actually, 70 to go, and it's reaping the line right now, but it's going to be side by side, heading off into 1 again. What will Peach do? He'll keep it a bit more respectful here. Side by side through the corner here. Peach looking to clear. Wygen still there. They'll shoot it down the backstretch here. Flowers with a bowl of popcorn behind, just waiting to see what happens. But I think Peach has gotten clear here. So put Peach to second, and now Wygen going to be under trouble here from both Flowers and Height.
And the critical thing about this, though, is now they've had a clean battle. They had an aggressive battle, but they did it without rubbing fenders again, so that cools everybody off a little bit. I think Wygen made his statement. He made his displeasure known, but they didn't get out of control with it. So it'll be interesting to see if that continues. But I think they both made their points known. Peach is so fast. Wygen was clean on the defense, but aggressive, and now they know where they're at, and they're 1-2-3 once again. And Blowers still trying to stick his nose into this fight. I don't think Blowers has quite had the speed of the front three cars, but he is really making it known that he's not going down without a fight.
You say that, yet it's worth noting he, out of the top 5 drivers, he is technically the slowest of the personal best. But on time, he's also the 4th slowest. So overall, kind of proving your point right a little bit. Still top 5 speed at the very least for that 94.
Oh, no, he's been quick.
Still very quick, just maybe not the quickest. As again, only one driver is still broken in that 23 barrier. That is still Hunter Peach. Next closest is Meredith, who ran a 24.09. And now Blauer's going to try to make a move on Wygen. Going to go low side here. You can also see in the far shot, Trout back up to the top 10, along with Zier. So both good recovery drivers for drivers that had horrible stage 1s, as they're now side by side. Wygen will hang on. Trout and Zier are still going to be side by side, heading off into 1.
Yeah, I would say without a doubt, Bobby Blauers has had a top 5 car today. I just think he's trying to take a top 5 car and put it on the podium. That's the only thing I'm saying. He's had a fantastic race, and he's making great work with what he's done so far. And yeah, it looks like our front row sitters finally all even Stevens, because Height is back to 4th, Zier is in 6th, and as you said, DJ Trout, everybody's kind of recovered, but the caution is now out.
78 of Richard Odie out of 3 and 4, along with the 8 of David Smeal. So 2 cars around here. Obviously, Smeal was multiple down. Odie was still on the lead lap, so odd situation. This will firmly make it, so the rest of the field should make it to the finish line here. But take a look here exactly what happened.
Wow.
Oh, Smeal and Smeal violence. That shoots up right in the Denny and Odie. So
that was
overall odd situation for both Smeals.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that was a bit of a clumsy one from the 44. I don't think John knew that he wasn't clear almost. He just moved up kind of like he had the space. He's trying to slot in, but I mean, he didn't misjudge that by an inch, Kevin. He misjudged that one by about a foot and swiftly paid the price for it.
Overall, big scratches and big moments there. And just odd situation. Again, both Smeals, I don't know if they're related or not, but if they are, that is going to be an interesting table talk they may have in a little bit.
And that doesn't make these guys at the front either, because you always hate when you're wrecking for last.
Yeah, no, that sends the message too, that they can't keep it clean back there, and it gives Meredith, again, hits the field. Kukar's coming in here for fresh tires. Height, Trout, Gaiman, Frey, Roberg, all in. Worth noting the common denominator here is these cars really struggled to keep their tires under them throughout the long run. We saw Height kind of drift back. Trout the first stage drift back. Gaiman kind of bucked that trend. He's always someone that's a different trendsetter. So overall, Lady Liberty Valkyrie seem to be in team unity here. They want to come on in. Obviously, everyone else after a certain point just said, what do I got to lose? Came on in. But now we saw what fresh tires can do. However, these drivers burned probably a fresh set at stage 1, fresh set at stage 2. Obviously, at the last caution here, they've burned through 4 sets, some maybe through 5. They only got maybe 2 sets of tires left. And right now, we're still, give or take, doing quick math in my head, to a very poor level, 45 laps remaining in this race. Will be 45 next time by. And if there's another caution, you may still have that extra set, but in these cars staying out have those extra sets, but there's no extra points for keeping sets in your garage.
No, there's not, but I think I don't blame them. We saw how Height was struggling with her tires through most of this race. She's not been terrible other than the very first stint, but it seems like everybody around her has just been a step ahead on preserving that tire. So why not? She knows she's fast on the short run. She knows she doesn't have to push as hard if she gets a fresh set of tires to hang on to positions and make positions, and she wasn't alone in her decision. So it's one of those deals where now it's pretty much for the lead lap cars split 50-50 down the middle. And even if you're on the wrong strategy, Kevin, it's always better if you have friends.
Yeah, it's better to have friends, better to kind of suffer, either have friends and reap the glory or suffer together. And overall, good to have friends. But we should see one more lap under pacing, then we'll see the 1 to go before we see the green. When we do take that, it should be at lap 178. Again, all cars good to go for the most part on fuel, so no concerns. It's just for tire wear here. And now we see some drivers that get promoted up with cars peeling off. Matthew Boone now in the top 10. Selena Thompson in the top 10. She also was running purple sectors there as well, at least sector 2. So some strong cookies. Elias Flores, remember, was one of the first cars that went a lap down, really showing that he, along with Eli Sasek, now 10th and 11th. So they have recovered nicely for Ascent Racing, just showing that, hey, that was a bit of a fluke we had in the first stage. We're showing why we're a strong team here.
Yeah, but keep in mind, look at all these cars that they are in front of. Every car behind them ended up pitting. So even though they were making their way back up through the field, they are now the last of the cars on old tires. They're going to get eaten alive on this restart by their own teammate, even of Mongold. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. Now, this is what makes you worry as a race director, Kevin, because now you've got half the field on a completely different set of tires, a completely different strategy, and hungry to make up positions. We could see some calamities here towards the end of the race, as it seems like we always do in HTL.
Yeah, calamities, cautions breed cautions, calamities breed calamities, but I'm optimistic that this will end up working out. So overall, though, it is going to be front row. Blauer still having a bit of blinks here. We'll see if he comes back. Heavy blinking. Jones is pulled behind the wall, and Peach is also dealing with some blinking as well. So this could be recipes for disasters for some cars as this plays out. Pace car going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane, as we'll be on Meredith's control. Green flag is officially flying, and we are underway here again, and Peach spun the tires a bit, checking up Wygent, so again, they may be back off the Christmas car list.
Yeah, you could definitely tell Peach is quick. He knows he's got a really good opportunity to bag another win here, but the pressure's starting to show. He's making some mistakes here and there, especially as this gets closer to the finish. And now he's on the old tires. He knows his best situation is if he gets out in front and pulls the biggest lead that he can. But he's got two really quick cars in front of him and a really fierce fight behind him as well. And you can see as we look a little deeper in the field, those fresh tires have already started getting to work on the back half of the cars that stayed out.
They got to be careful not to overburn their stuff if they want to charge forward. Obviously, they'll have the advantage throughout the run, but there is that risk. If you burn up your stuff, another caution comes out, it could be a flip-flop. So we'll have to see how this factors out as this run concludes and continues on. But right now, it is doing good for the cars that came in, but it's still not inside the top 10 at least yet. Back up front, it is still Meredith, Flowers, Peach, YG in your top 4. Meredith trying to set sail again like he did the past stages. The only thing that doesn't help is right now, no side-by-side action for second. You got a hungry Bobby Flowers, though, looking for a first win this season, along with Meredith taking up his mirror.
Yeah, and as you can see, we're on board with Peach. He has led. He won both stages. He's looking to try and take the full sweep, but only a handful of laps to get it done, and he's got hungry drivers behind him on fresh tires that are making some brilliant gains on the field so far. So he's kind of got a ticking time bomb in both directions because he knows he needs to go after these cars in front, but he still has to save his tires, but he still has to push to stay ahead of the cars behind. Oh, it's so easy when your crew chief tells you to do all three of those things, Kevin, but you and I both know it's a lot harder than just saying, oh yeah, right on it.
Yeah, it's like that copy paste text where it's like the kickers, like, why do kickers just miss?
Yeah,
how is that a point? It doesn't, like, it's a tough business, and it's one thing to do that, but when you have that pressure sitting behind you, and you have a driver filling your mirrors, and like Meredith, who has a long drought right now, and it's sitting in the back of his mind just a little bit as Blowers on that quarter panel, and Blowers as well should have had a win this season, but had that mistake at Pocono. You think that sits on the back of his mind as well, that he could easily have had a win here and looking for a second. So two drivers in the top two, one with a long win streak, another just having a bit of a bad spell but good runs. One of them looking to break their zero here tonight as they battle on. Blowers, though, high up the road, as now Peach is trying to get as well. Top 3, top 5, pretty much under a blanket.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where if Blowers, he's probably thinking in the back of his head, I cannot throw this opportunity away too. This is the second best opportunity I've had since Pocono. And you try not to think about it, but there are some people who'd start calling you a choke artist if you let two go away like that. Honestly, it's something really hard to deal with. It's something I struggled a lot with in my career, where you'd be in those situations where you've run good and things just happen and you lose the win in the last 10 or 15 laps. And there's not really anything you could change, but it gets in the back of your head. It's one of those needles that just sticks in the back of your brain. Like, am I choking this race? Am I not going to make it? And that's when you start making mistakes. So He's done a great job so far this race. He's got a great opportunity. He's shown himself to be very quick. He's not the fastest car on track, but he has played it perfect so far tonight, and he's going to try and challenge for the lead. Let's see what he can do.
I agree with you as well. It's definitely something to deal with. I can deal with those own problems as well with yips and all those things that can play a factor. Because I'll hold off on my own personal stories until I'm ready to go to bed when I get the chair out. But right now, though, you got Flowers trying to make a move there side by side with Meredith. Meredith making that car wide. And in turn, one other thing to note as well, there's also an owner's playoffs. That 94 car, obviously usually powered by Pendel. If Flowers comes in and gets that win, he'd be joining along with Apperson, who got that Ford with the help of Rudy Valentine. So sometimes it's good to have friends, as Flowers still going to be side by side, heading off here. Meredith doing what he can do here.
And don't look now, but that 3 car is looming in the background. Caitlin Height up to P7, Josh Gaiman up to P9. Those fresh tires are coming quickly, and they've already gotten back to the positions they were when they pit. So if nothing else, they've got a net neutral out of this one. And Blowers made a mistake, had to go to the high side. Now he's under fire from Hunter Peach, who has been sitting patiently waiting for an opportunity, and now he sees one to try and strike, and this is going to let Meredith run away a little bit. But look at the rest of the field reeling in these leaders.
Yeah, it's going to be all game, all race on. Wydget clips the wall again. Some drivers really running good times here. I do want to note another driver broke into the 24 bracket. Multiple drivers are as well. I think we're finally starting to see the rubber put down and the track really heat up as the sun has been out for many laps. So multiple drivers now breaking into the 23 bracket. Fastest on track personally right now is that 171 machine of Pelletier Sharp, currently making a move on Pacey Wygant. And again, we were talking about how Sharp, 24 back on the cut line. She's kind of in the same boat as Flowers. Meredith, she could shake things up if she can finish there, but in turn, winning this race puts it so, hey, it bunts everyone one down. So overall, a lot of drivers looking to crack that, find that victory and crack that 0, as in that top 5, 3 of them, 2 of them, no, 3. 3 is the number I'm looking for. Have yet to find victory lane this season, with both Peach and Wygant finding victory at least once. Back up front, Flowers low again.
Yeah, but you also got to keep in mind here that, like we were talking about at the top of the show and throughout the race, Pelletier Sharp has not made any friends for herself in this season, this race, this career in HTL. So if it came down to one of those situations where someone's in second place looking at an opportunity to win, if Sharp's leading, they will not be afraid to use the bump and run on her versus maybe someone else who's been a lot more cleaner, a lot more nicer about things so far today, like Meredith. So it's one of those situations you've got to play everything right to get it going. You can see there, you see the 3 and the 71 enduring each other down the straightaway, just as I was talking about. Hasn't made any friends. Here's her worst enemy, Caitlin Height on fresh tires.
Yeah, and she's definitely going to they're both going to fight each other hard here for the spot. Obviously, 3's got the advantage on the tires, but at the same point, it's going to be tooth and nail here up front. We're just keeping an eye on a lot of battles. Flowers has had a big desync there again. And I'm trying to make a move. Now the question is, can his internet hold? That's another thing that could make be a throat moment where you can have like a throat is the word I'm looking for.
He gets bumped out of the way. Bumped out of the way by Hunter Peach again. This time Peach really not afraid to use the right side tires to move somebody. The man who knows that better than anybody else is the one who just saw that happen in front of him with Pacey Wygant. But here comes Katie Height on those fresh tires, and not far behind them you can see Zier getting sideways. Look at Gaiman now moving up as well. So the 33 and the 3 are moving up very quickly. It was the deuces in qualifying. Now it's the tries coming up through the back straightaway together.
He's doing it for Dale right now. She's side by side with Pacey Wygant, but this is where it gets harder. She's cut through the field. Now she's up with the faster and faster cars, and it can balance out those tires right now. And we know she has at least some problems slightly saving in these regards. So she's got to be careful and trying to make sure she doesn't burn that stuff up. But it's Meredith, Peach right now, Flowers there. And I want to point one more thing as well. Looking at lap times, she's not running too different to the cars around her. She's about dead even with the cars surrounding her. Even Meredith seeing slightly faster with the clean air. So overall, those fresh tires aren't working. But another driver that is also on those same fresh tires, Josh Gaiman, currently sitting in 7th, just made a big old diamond move on Pelletier Sharp.
But also keep in mind, Kevin, the tires tire wear is an exponential slope. It doesn't linearly fall off on a track like this. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse, which means these guys in front are going to cliff way before the Lady Liberty cars do, and that could really be a big advantage. So these two might not even be pushing as much because they don't have to put in as much effort to make these passes with that fresh rubber. They're in the best position to be in, but Meredith has some daylight. He's putting some distance between him and Peach and Blowers as they all fought out. Peach has some clear racetrack to try and chase down Meredith, but Meredith can almost taste a snap of that winless streak with only a handful of laps to go.
Yeah, it gets more and more enticing. It gets to your point. Someone's sped these spots. Your legs start shaking. You start getting kind of doubting yourself, and especially when you have this behind you, you're just like, please, 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 let's keep going. You can look at that longest winless strat. It may only be 34 races, but it's 34 too many. If you ask Zachary Meredith, that's at least a season and a half, almost 2 seasons, since he's found that victory lane since his lone championship a couple years ago. Further back, Blowers, Height, side by side, and we are going to have a good old slobber knocker here for third. But right now it is, Height going to be aggressive. Blowers going to pinch her down low, not wanting to give up third.
Wygen's seen this one before. He doesn't want to have any part of this. They're about to go 3 wide off into turn 3. I thought for a moment Gaiman was going to pack it in there. He has the tires to do it. Height still trying to make it work on the bottom. These cars on old tires on the outside, fresh tires on the inside. They touch again out of 4. And again down the front stretch.
Beaten and banging, no prisoners here this late on. If we stay green to the end, it would be a miracle with how hard they're pushing each other. The blink machine will keep third. Height will now fall to 4th, as now the top 2 have gapped Bobby Blowers by a little over a second.
Yeah,
so
but critically now, Peach has caught up to Meredith. He has made the distance. It is a 2-horse race at the front right now, and I didn't know that Peach was going to reel it in that quick, and Meredith feeling the pressure. He's in the wall right now. This is the best we've seen Meredith race since he won his championship. This is the kind of form we expected out of him last season. He's finally in a position to try and make it happen now, but he needs to hang on for 18 more laps over the strongest car by far tonight of Hunter Peach.
And you got to think that hit sits in the back of his mind, knowing that, hey, you won a championship. You had that hangover. Can you ever be like that again? Was the competition gotten better? Has the league gotten better? What can you do as the championship become more memories and the banners fade and the trophies get more puffy? You sits in the back of your mind trying to hold that point. There you can see the battle for third. Height's gotten around. Gaiman now 4th. They're the 2 on fresh tires, so they could make inroads here as well. Makes it a 4-horse race, as now they got clean air, and being teammates, or at least sister teams, they're not going to fight each other as hard, knowing that, hey, common goal, get to Meredith and Peach.
0 now, too. So these 3 have cleared. This is critical because now the top 5, the front 2 have been the fastest all night, but they're on old tires. The 3 behind them have been equally as fast, but have just been a little bit behind. They've negated that now with the fresh tires. It's game on for these 3. Then, like you said, they all know each other. They're either teammates or have raced with each other before. They're probably going to try to just stay in line until they catch up to Peach, and they are gaining very, very quickly.
And I know there's a dreaded green light checker always on the horizon around here. If that comes out, big time decisions have to be made by Meredith and Peach. Presumably Height, Gaiman could stay out in that regard, but Peach, Meredith probably have to come in. But if most of the field doesn't come in, you're buried back outside the top 10, and you've pissed away a victory. So it's going to be interesting if this stays green at the end. I think Meredith and Peach want that, at least for the time being, as we see Height slowly close in road, just gained a 10th. But this is just going to be hard to see. I don't know if I'm the leader, what I want right now. I just want to stay up front. I think it's the main thing, as we see 13 laps to go. Peach still staying behind Meredith, doing what he has to do to stay ahead.
If Height keeps gaining like she is, about a 10th a lap, she will catch Hunter Peach and Zachary Meredith. And keep in mind, this is assuming that Meredith and Peach don't fight each other for the win. You don't think they're going to try and duke this one out? They both want to win. If they get side by side, then it's all over. Then it opens the door completely for Height, Gaiman, and Zier to go after this one. This is going to be a grandstand finish if it stays green to the end.
This is going to be a fun one. If you were here last night on the YouTube channel for the A-Square Cup Series, it was a photo finish at Kansas. I think I can smell the air right now. I'm seeing something happen here. May not be a photo finish, but it is going to be a close one to the end here, as no driver's going to give up here. Riding on board here with Hunter Peach, as we are going to hit 11 laps to go. As you know, he's running that scheme because you can see on the time scoring board right there, at least this is the flag stand, Ream sponsorship. So trying to bring Ream home at its virtual home track here.
Yeah, absolutely. As we ride in car, it just feels like that 17. You could reach out and touch him. Take a hand to the spoiler, maybe get him loose. You can see how much he's driving it in. He's saved up enough tire, I think, to have a go at it. Nobody has saved tires like Hunter Peach tonight, but it may not matter because Height, Gaiman, Zier, they have fresher tires. Zier's fallen back a little bit, but both the 33 and the 3 are still consistently gaining. The gap is now down within a second.
You're a Meredith fan right now. You're biting your fingernails. I think you're running out of fingernails at this point. You may have to start biting other things, maybe straws, other machinery you got around.
Height's letting Gaiman go.
Height. Yeah, maybe Height knows my tires are a little bit cooked here. Maybe she knows, hey, I'll help out a teammate who hasn't got a win yet either this season and try to say, look, Gaiman, reel us to the front. If not, maybe a bit of team orders. We'll switch back. But overall, Gaiman, just go get him and let's make this a fight. I can't do it. You go do it.
Yeah, and that's what you can do when you already have a win. You know that Gaiman really wants one. You know he's faster. He's pushing so hard, though. He hits the wall for the second lap in a row. But look how quickly he's already started to eat away at this. This is what what Height was allowed to do because Zier fell off a little bit. Zier was putting that pressure onto where Height couldn't safely let this happen. But now everybody's in the fence as they go through turn 1 and 2.
Oh, indeed, they are pushing. They're going hard. Gaiman's joined the fray. 2 lap cars up the road here. It looks like it's the 9 and the 8. 9 to Sasek, the 8 to Gibney. There's a chance they will catch him before this thing is done. They are not battling for position, so in theory, both should concede spots here if they deem at least a little bit of respect. 8 laps to go. Gaiman is there. Gaiman has saved this stuff up. He is ready to make a charge.
Lap car, Dustin Hall down there on the bottom as well. Don't mind that 12 car. He's going to get in the way, though, and could play
fresh
spoiler.
tires.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he pitted.
He's a lap down on fresh tires. So you were thinking for a minute maybe you saw him cut through the field. No, he had to pit again. Remember, he stayed out on that last caution. He couldn't make it on fuel. 7 to go now, 6 to go at the line.
Oh, Meredith is out. He's like probably on the radar right now. Meredith seems telling Sasek and Spiel, get out of the way if we catch you. Do not battle. Gaiman on the low side of Peach. He knows he needs to be in this catbird seat if he wants to make a move. You can't make it from third. Drives it in deep like Gaiman. Peach did out of Wygen. He will clear himself. Big Peach is going to see a bit of karma there as he will feel what Wygen did. Gaiman up to second. 5 laps to go. That is not what Meredith wants to see, especially them 3 wide, the lap cars ahead up the road.
The pressure is on. They're all in the fence through turn number 1 there, and Peach really met his match there. He got done to him, a taste of his own medicine, and now it's all clear sailing for Gaiman because the lap traffic is in the way of Meredith. Sasek holding up Meredith now, and the caution's out as it's going to be changing everything here with 4 to go.
It's the one of Gibney on the backstretch, and that is we'll see if it's 2 cars. I don't see another car around. That may have been an iRacing call here. We will see what happened. Gibney on the low side here, and this is where you curse the lap cars.
Oh.
He comes up right in the Wygen, and that's 2 cars. That is a legal caution, but that is just not what you need to do. Especially, I don't know if Gibney he is on lead laps. That was for a position, that would have been for spot, but still, over aggression there, and it just, it hurts if you're Meredith and Gaiman right now.
That is going to make a lot of people angry because that's not the first time Gibney's brought out a caution that's brought us into an overtime situation. This is not even the second time that a crash like that's pushed us into overtime, and Gibney with a very, I hate, there's no other word to say it, a clumsy move there to put us into a situation that now changes everything, and cars are in the pit lane. Some drivers I thought would have stayed out. Trout does stay out. But everybody else, it seems like, there's 4 cars that stayed out. Trout, Arnold, Clavette, and Henderson. Everybody else comes in for boots, it would appear. Maybe gonna try this out, but there's no way that those 4 all by themselves are gonna hold off the fresh tires. This is a shot in the dark and a Hail Mary, and with the green-white checkered, only 3 attempts at the green-white checkered, but I'll tell you what, Kevin, we're gonna see at least 2, I think.
Zachary Meredith's crew, he took 4 tires. He is going to be down at least an 11th. Gaiman 2 tires, Blowers 2 tires, Height 2 tires. There's the green. That's why I was making the reaction, by the way, seeing Trout stay out. But green-white checker rules here right now for those uninformed. Race finish is now officially extended. We have 3 attempts at a green-white checker, no longer unlimited. Restart with 2 to go. If the yellow comes out before the white, try again. We will keep trying 3 attempts at it. If the field takes the white, the race will finish. Regardless, it will be checkered flag or the track getting wadded up, causing a yellow. But we will see a flag there. And like I said it twice. Why not say it thrice to match the number? 3 attempts at a green-white checker, and this is where it gets interesting.
In a twist of irony, the man who brings out the caution flag to put us into overtime, now stays out with a damaged car, with scuffed tires, and will be P5. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but we'll see.
I don't like that either. He didn't go a lap down. I mean, in real life, he would have been sent to the tail end because, you know, technically it was part of the caution, but everyone else pitting, he technically is... This is weird. Very weird situation. So he will net P5, but, you know, with how aggressive he was trying to pass Wygen, he's not going to give up that spot easily. And this is going to help Gaiman, who will be side by side with him, but Blauer's height, they'll be buried in traffic. But right now, if I'm Meredith for those 4 tires, you need at least all these 3 attempts at a green, white, checkered, because you are now 11th, and it's how quick a lap is around here, 20 seconds. You're going to need all 3 attempts to try to make something happen. 4 tires min up in the call. I do not hate, though, Trout, Arnold, Clavitt, Henderson staying out. All 4 drivers need wins. All 4 drivers right now, excluding Clavitt and Arnold, are not, and Henderson too, are all in the top 16. But Trout is not, and Trout, if he could pull this off, could easily go from 27th to playoffs in just a snap of a fingers, and this could be the ultimate Hail Mary for Arnold, Henderson, and Clavitt. Some of those drivers on that winless streak that need to break it. This is going to be pure chaos.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this for these 4. I just find it's a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth for Gibney to stay out after bringing out the yellow that put us in this situation. Every single car behind him is going to be public enemy number 1 to car number 1 because they just are thinking in their heads, this guy just crashed out of 10th or 15th and ruined my shot to win this race, and he's going to try and stay out?
Oh.
I don't know how that one's going to go.
If he ends up getting wrecked here or takes someone out with him, he's going to be a long line outside his virtual hauler. Pace car is going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane. Going to be on Trout's control here. It's going to have to hang on for 2 laps. In the restart zone, green flag is out. Will this be the final attempt? We'll have to see. Look at that stack Gibney's already caused behind Blowers. How much cushion? It's going to make it a 4 or 5 car race. Gaiman on those 2 tires going to rip it on the high side. Just showing you that extra grip he has.
But they're
right
on
now,
the fence. Everybody's wrecking, and Gibney takes out the field.
He took out Meredith. Meredith involved, and that is what a situation you can call the car that presumably caused the caution that took Meredith's chance of winning away and took it to 0, ends up colliding in that situation.
I don't know why he stayed out.
Poetic.
I don't know why he stayed out. I mean, he had damage. You saw how slow he was on the restart, and now he's really done it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of comments about that. I like Gibney. He's a great guy. I've had the pleasure to hang out with him on more than one occasion, but my goodness, to make a call like that is, I don't know. He had help. To be fair, it was Meredith that turned him, but why he was up there in the first place I find a bit strange. But you know, you can't blame him for getting everything he can get out of it, obviously, because the situation is if he's not going to be put to the back, then why would he go to the back? He's already tilted. But you can see here as we go off into turn 1, he's got someone on his inside. He's already 3 wide, gets hit by the 94. Because again, like I said, nobody's going to cut him a break because he just screwed everybody's race up. Meredith sees an opportunity to try and make a move. He goes to the inside. This is what happens with green, white, checkers. People just throw the brand. No, it wasn't even. I stand corrected. I thought he got hit by the 17. I don't think he did, Kevin.
No, he didn't. It was not that situation. You'll see he just kind of comes up right into Zier, and it ping-pongs into Thompson, Thompson into Meredith, and gives Meredith the hook. And Meredith, I feel for the man. He was 4 laps away maybe from winning this or getting a top 5, and now heavily damaged and probably curtains for his chances here, even to get a good top 10 run and going to bleed points heavily.
Yeah.
Gibney, again, it's odd because I don't want to keep harping on the man, and I don't want to make this worse, but you could see on the restart, he did not.
He didn't go at all. He clearly had damage.
Or he was playing he was just trying to lay off, not wanting to spin it, and it backed up Blowers, and he basically told the field behind him on that inside line that we have to be aggressive around you because you just gave everyone on that high line a chance to charge around you. And it caused the aggression, it caused the cork in the bottle that eventually just exploded and took out 4 or 5 cars.
And this is where this debate always comes in HTL. We see so many races look like they're going to have a fantastic finish, and then somebody just brings out a yellow, and then it's just all bets are off, and it just turns into a lottery every single week.
Yeah, so we are going to see 2 more laps of pacing. Trout, Clavitt, I don't know if they really obviously want to see his caution because now let's cycle this field for a second. Got Trout, Clavitt, row 1. Then you got Arnold, all on those old tires. Then you got Gaiman now on that high side. You saw how he ripped it on that high side with those 2 tires.
He has a ton of damage, though, because he absolutely guttered the wall out of turn number 2. You can see the damage on the number 33. That wasn't just the average wall tap we've been seeing all day. He absolutely knocked it down. So I wonder if there's suspension damage now on the 33.
Going to be interesting, but he's going to drive it until the wheel breaks, and it's going to be interesting to see. Then after that, you got Henderson. Remember, he hit that wall early in stage 1. He got it fixed up, and he recovered, but obviously, you're not going to give up P4 to come down and fix a car up to get it moderately better. Gaiman's in it till the end here. Next row includes Caitlin Height, who's also on that 2-tire call. Then you got Blower Sosi, 2 tires as well, and pretty much everyone's on 2 tires all the way down to Boone in 12th, who's on 4. But again, unless we see pure Candemonium up front, I don't want to harp the cars that took 4 tires, but it looks like that was the wrong decision to take 4 tires this late in the running. But we now officially got 1 lap to go here before we see the green flag for attempt number 2 at a green-white checkered. Trout, again, could be the underdog kid. I talked about in the pre-race how they had next week circled being the track they could win at the Daytona Road Course to try to lock themselves into the playoffs. If they could find a way to win this race, they've had top 10 speed. You can't take it away from them, but it's going to be the drive of their life if they can hang on. You got Clavel on the outside, obviously maybe still a bit scorned from Atlanta, trying to find a way to victory lane. And then you got 2 more winless drivers in Arnold and Gaiman in row 2. And even Henderson, longest winless streak there in 5th. This is going to be interesting how this plays out.
Absolutely. We'll hopefully find out this time instead of having to force the 3rd or potentially end under yellow. Pace car will pull off. DJ Trout and Dean Clavette going to try to do all they can to take this one home, but those 33 and 3 cars and the 81, all of the Lady Liberty and Valkyrie cars, very quick. Green flag back in the air and another great start for Trout. Not a great one for Henderson.
Henderson spun the tires. Blauer's going to do what he basically did to Gibney there. They're going to shoot it low here. Cars fighting for position. Gaiman up the 3rd. That car is definitely not wounded. Clavitt now down to 4th. Trout still looking good, hoping to see C-scales ahead as you see cars beating and banging. Gaiman just cleared Arnold. It's going to be Gaiman and the 93 and Trout heading off here. We'll see if the leader sees the white flag side by side. It will be for the lead as the Wagman has the white flag in his hands.
We will make this race official, and nothing Trout can do. Gaiman just too quick to the inside. Can Height try and sneak by? Susie spins out of turn number 2, but now it's still Gaiman ahead. A huge crash in the back, but never mind it now, because coming to the house is Josh Gaiman. He's finally going to get a win that he's been desperately looking for this season.
Yeah, 6 cars mow down the fence back there, but it's not going to matter to Josh Gaiman as he's going to cross the line and he will win this race. Gaiman takes victory here, and it will be Height 2nd, and Trout will hang on for a 3rd. So it will be not a Lady Liberty car per se, but it's going to be a sister team of that. Valkyrie Motorsports, believe it may be their first win. You can see the wreckage of the last lap there as you can see that 91 torn up. He's not going to make the line. Donaldson's not going to make it. Sharp currently stopped out of 4. She's not going to make it, and some of these drivers are going to bleed heavy points because of that. But Gaiman, no worries now. Countless seconds he's been, countless weeks at the road courses, may have been a threat to win next week at the Daytona Road Course. Probably going to win the Daytona Road Course, at least be in contention to do it. But he's won now. Got that monkey off the back, and we'll see if he can keep that form in the playoffs. But Josh Gaiman has finally found victory. He's very happy like a cat drinking cream.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, and he absolutely looked like the biggest thing about this, Kevin, I think the better driver won today. The driver who made it work at the end still got away with the win. A lot of times when it goes to green-white checkers, you see it, you'd rather be lucky than good, but Gaiman looked like he was on the charge coming to the end of the race under the green flag. He made the right call on the strategy and decided to take what he thought was rightfully his, and I gotta agree. He did a beautiful job to get that 33 car where it needed to be. And let's not forget, I don't think he's in that situation if Katie Height doesn't let him go with about 10 laps to go to try and go after it.
I was just about to say that because that gave Gaiman the advantage going in the pit lane, and then the virtual cruise gave Gaiman a great stop. They were both on the same call, and because of that little advantage, Gaiman got out ahead. So that overall, if anyone that 33 is going to thank, it's the 3 letting the 33 go to chase down Zachary Meredith and get that extra spot to ensure he came out side by side with Gibney. Here you can see right there, multiple cars mowing down the wall. They're just trying to get what you can do. Blake, the 28 of Boone, big lick on that wall, bouncing off right into Mongold. There's Sosi. Henderson gets spun around, and this is the ultimate track blocker here as cars just trying to fan through. And when we go over the top 10, you're going to see some of the effects of that when cars going around. Sharp, big wick wall on the back wall. That's why she didn't make it around. There you can see the 97 of Roberg hit the wall there. Had to remember his name is the villain driver as the rest of the cars go around, and you can just see becomes basically a junkyard here on the backstretch. And overall, iRacing obviously doesn't call cautions on the yellow. We race to the finish. There you can see Smeal one more hit for the road in the Roberg, and you could just see the chaos this caused.
Yeah, and as that happens, it seems that we have caught up with our third place finisher of DJ Trout. DJ, this is Kristina in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do. How you doing?
Pretty good. I figure you're doing all right too. You almost pulled it off on the old tire strat. You net a podium. Good points for you. Walk us through those last few laps.
I honestly don't know when that caution came out for to go. I already had it in my mind to stay out, try to get the track position, and we got it. But the first green white checkered caution, that kind of screwed me over. I think without that, I would have gotten the win. But I'll definitely take P3 at Rockingham, which is my worst track in a stock car.
We had a long string of green flag running today, and it all came down to the very end with that spree of cautions. Were you surprised to see the spree of cautions at the end, and were you surprised to see that green flag runs go on for so long tonight?
I was more surprised with the green flag runs, mostly because this track is a short track and it's mostly one groove, or at least I consider it a short track. But the caution fest at the end was no surprise. I think my the long runs, I was just struggling to save tire. Stage 1, I was third. I fell back all the way to 22nd because I didn't know how to save. I figured out how to save and just started carving my way up through the field. And eventually that's kind of why I made this decision to stay out here at the end.
Headed into Daytona, and then, of course, running at the road course, then the super speedway. How are you feeling into the final couple weeks before the chase?
I am feeling pretty confident about next week. I love road course racing. It's easy for me to find a rhythm. It's easier than ovals for me. And I think next week is my best chance to point my way in, or to get my way into the playoffs. It has not been a season that has been good to me, but finishes like this really help. And I think just road courses also help my performance going into the playoffs. So I'm hoping to win next week. That is my goal, and I think I have a really good shot at doing that.
Who makes it work for you, DJ?
Everyone at PRC. I would not know how to save if it wasn't for Bobby Blowers and Dean Clavitt. Also, shout out to Mark Parkhurst, who makes it all happen. And thank you guys for broadcasting.
All right, well, congratulations on a podium, DJ. Good luck next week on the road course at Daytona. Great run.
Thank you.
And I believe that Kevin has caught up with our second place finisher of Katie Height.
Looking to see from her now. Katie, it's Kevin in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Hi, hello.
Keep talking to each other week after week, but you obviously put some great cars to get those performances going. Obviously, we're going to start off kind of how we do at the beginning of these things. How was that? Again, you saw that track come out, and we saw in the first stage you were fast, but were you kind of having problems with tire wear at least a little bit? As it seemed that car was struggling on the long run.
I really don't know what it was that I was doing wrong all night. Just I could keep pace about 20 laps, but I don't know if it was my line or what, or just I wasn't utilizing the wall enough, but I just would all of a sudden just drop 0.3, 2 to 0.3 worth of pace, and just couldn't do much with it. But yeah, I would say another iconic podium place finish, but probably one of my least deserved ones of the season, or probably career. I don't know.
Moving further on, obviously we saw you kind of get through the first and second stage, really drive it still well, just trying to get up and down, and then we saw that late caution. I gotta ask first two-part question. This one, when Gaiman you got that tire strategy, came in and pit off. Your call was obviously to let him go with 10 to go to try to chase it down. Kind of want to know your thought process on that. And then secondly, to kind of keep that line of thought going, when the caution came out with 3 to go and you came in, I'm assuming, was there any idea maybe staying out was the call, or did you think you really needed 2 tires to make this work?
Well, going back, when I was racing really hard with Bobby, and then he sort of like blinked out going down the backstretch, and then all of a sudden, like I was sort of inside on his door or something like that. It was really unfortunate. I'm sorry about that. Like I said, it was just one of those circumstances where he blinked. I was there, but that whole fight that I had with him just really burnt off the right front. And with about 10 to go, I knew that Josh, even though he was trying to help me, I just was gaining on the leaders marginally. And I just told him that, I'm pulling low, just go. And then, in 2 laps, he's on the rear bumpers of like the leaders up there. So it's like, okay, I did the right thing there. I was really hoping that he would be able to pull it off though, because definitely had the pace advantage. But yeah, when the caution came out, I just sort of knew at that point, I'm gonna have to take 2 tires. I wanted to get track position. I just abused the wear on the tires, and I couldn't really hold anything together. So I figured that'd be my best shot, getting as good of a position I could. And yeah, just really teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work sometimes, especially if they do in F1. Moving on, obviously, next week is Daytona Road Course. Obviously, many wins. You're not in any real threat not to make the playoffs because obviously you have multiple wins. So thoughts on the Daytona Road Course? You've been sneaky fast at the road courses. Think it's a track we could see you finally get a win at the road course?
I'm gonna be honest, no, because I'll have to be watching from my phone in a hotel over in like New Jersey, so I will not be there, which is unfortunate, but I will definitely be cheering on the team as best I can.
Well, that obviously makes well, that answers my question. Obviously, you can't win if you're not in the cockpit, but hopefully your replacement, if you can't find one, will drive that car to glory. Obviously, Kaylin, it's been great talking to you, but who makes it work for you? Who is your who do you want to thank here in Victory Lane? I mean, second place, not Victory Lane.
Well, once again, it's going to be all the admins at HTL doing the work behind the scenes, everyone in the AVN booth and the broadcast truck with Kristina getting the pictures. Top-notch job every single time. Lady Liberty and Valfreya just doing the just working together as best we can. And obviously want to thank Callie, Lexi, Emily, Chrissy once again, and all the dolls back at the shop that make this possible.
Well, it's been great talking to you. Obviously, we won't see you next week, but I feel like we'll talk for the end of the season. But if not, you take care. Have a good rest of your week.
All right, thanks.
And that was our second place finisher, Caitlin Height. We got one more person left, and Kristina, our special guest in the booth this week, is going to have a word with them. Kristina, who do we got?
Yeah, I'm here at Victory Lane with Josh Gaiman, and a fantastic run for you, obviously. You looked like you were poised to take the win, whether it was going to be a safety car at the end or not. You ended up winning anyway. Walk us through those last 10 laps or so, those green-white checkers.
Yeah, coming up to the end there, I figured everyone was going to dip in for tires, and luckily everyone that was fast with me came in, and I think a few people had some speeding, and that really helped us out there. The cautions that started everything there at the end helped me out too, because some of those guys got pushed to the back. We took 2, and it was enough to get us by those guys on the restart, going into 1 and 2 there, and set me up to get DJ on the final lap.
You were pushing so hard on the initial restart for the first green-white checkered, and you knocked down the wall out of turn 2. Did that give you any damage, and what was the thought process after that one?
Surprisingly, not as much as I thought it would. The car, for whatever reason, was an absolute tank here. Obviously everyone's slapping the wall down, whether they say they are or not. It's kind of the curse of them taking away the wall riding grip. Hopefully we could just say nobody do that next time if we do it again, or if we go to Bristol, because it's the same way there. It's just one of those things, really.
To finally get into victory lane after so much adversity you had to fight through this season, how does it feel to finally get yourself in and officially lock yourself in for the championship?
Yeah, knowing I had speed a few times, and whether it was my mistake or somebody else or whatever, it didn't work out, and luckily tonight we were just able to put ourselves in the right spot. And I kind of took it way too easy at the start and realized that you could really just push the car, and then everyone started to find the fence, and it just turned into a sprint car race, really. I mean, everyone was just against the wall and ripping it down. So I mean, it was a good show. I can't complain about the racing. That was really, really fun. It's a shame that's how we had to do it.
Moving forward to a track that doesn't have a whole lot of wall riding, Daytona Road Course, how are you feeling headed into there with all the pressure off?
I mean, last time we went there, I had a pretty good finish. So I've been pretty decent on the road course so far. You know, uh, our team and the sister team had a 1-2-3 at Suzuka. So I mean, hopefully we could just repeat that and keep moving forward.
Well, it's shout out time, Josh. Congrats on your win. Who made it work for you today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll shout out everyone, whether it be Valfreya or Lady Liberty. Everyone there has been working together really well this season, and whether it be strategy or just on track, we do what we can to help each other out. Whoever's faster at the front, and shout out to all of you for putting on these broadcasts every week, and shout out to Makoni Setup Shop, 213 Somewhere, W Energy for riding on board. And shout out to the HTL guys for putting up with us every week.
Well, that's Josh Gaiman, your race winner here from Rockingham. Congrats.
Thank you.
And with that, Kevin, we find ourselves finally at the end of another race. Only 2 to go, but before we say goodbye for the night, let's take a look at the final results. Josh Gaiman and Caitlin Height, a 1-2 for them at the front. DJ Trout thrilled with a podium and looking like he's poised to try and take everything home at Daytona next week. Dean Clavette, haven't talked about him enough tonight. He was up front in the top 10, top 15 all day long, capitalized on the final calamity and ends up P4. Lilac Sear outside, or the pole sitter in 5th, a good recovery for her considering her abysmal start to this race. Selena Thompson, Lily Frazier, I think with a career best finish, then Josh Arnold, Alistair Kirk, and Gary Donaldson the top 10.
Moving further down the grid will go Elias Flores, good recovery drive for him. 11th, Zachary Merritt for Bound at the 12th. That's not going to make the sting go away. Hunter Peach as well, 13th. Another driver that was wondering a lot of what ifs after tonight. Dotson 14th, Bobby Blowers top 15th. Eli Sask, another driver with a good recovery, 16th. Alfred Denny 7th, Pacey Wygen 18th, Zachary Apperson 19th, Blake Henderson 20th, and now we're getting in the cars that are involved in that last lap incident. Martin Roberg 21st, Pelty Sharp 22nd, and then Joshua Sosi couldn't finish under his own power. He'll be scored 23rd, Boone 24th, Mongol 25th, Dustin Hall 26th, Tommy Withers 27th, John Smeal 28th, Richard Odie 29th, Kevin Gibney rounding out the top 30, and now getting into the cars that did not finish this race. Smeal 31st, Swatsworth 32nd, Byron Jones 33rd, Cody Pinnell 34th, our own Kristina Ryan 35th, JK. Constantinuth and Tommy Reynolds did not take the flag along with Cody Pinnell, and they'll be scored in the last place billings.
Well, that'll do it for us here from The Rock. It was a fun race, a bit of a chaotic finish as we come to see from HTL, but all in all, it was the fastest drivers in the final stint that ended up prevailing with some good strategy calls towards the end. From my broadcast partner, Kevin Young, sending all of our thoughts with Joe Cortez in a tough time in his life. We're sending all the love to you, buddy. I'm Kristina Ryan. Thank you guys so much for being here, and thanks for watching us on ABN. We'll see you next time.